About pride, is it? Very well, you may have your way. She puffed her cheeks, reluctantly standing in the corner, murmuring to herself, while the old lady settled into bed, causing her grandfather to chuckle. Qin Lang retracted his gaze and focused on the curve chart on his computer, silently opening the system's marketplace panel. Within the system's marketplace, the merchandise maintained a constant quantity, allowing for pagination and refreshing every 3 days, revealing some peculiar items, which were listed among the last 3 on the final page. At this moment, a proactive skill named Eye of Investment caught his attention. Eye of Investment, a proactive skill that consumes 2,000 points of Destiny villain value per minute, applicable to the stock market, mutual funds, virtual currencies, and exchange rates. Let me give it a try, Qin Lang remarked, glancing at the verdant figures displayed. How much is left? Mu Yuyin opened her personal account and, with a bitter smile, replied, just over 2 million. From an initial capital of 300 million. Only 2 million remained within such a brief span. Mu Yuyin felt akin to a wasteful matron, and she believed that among all women in Huaxia, her speed of financial loss could be unparalleled. She was unaware that Qin Lang possessed trading skills, but how could she refuse when he had expressed interest? After all, having already lost 300 million, did 2 million really matter? It would at least provide a fleeting thrill. The two exchanged seats, and, as Qin Lang grasped the mouse, he opened the Eye of Investment skill. Ding! Congratulations, host, you have acquired the Eye of Investment. Destiny villain value, 2,000. Continuous consumption ongoing. A cascade of information gently flowed into Qin Lang's mind. An extensive array of professional knowledge and terminology concerning funds, the stock market, mutual funds, and exchange rates began to integrate. This was a gradual process. In essence, assimilating such knowledge required time, during which the Destiny villain value would persistently deplete. Unbelievable. Fortunately, Qin Lang's physique surpassed that of ordinary individuals, significantly enhancing the speed of his neural activity. Within just over 4 minutes, having consumed 10,000 points of Destiny villain value, he fully comprehended the information. Well, someone is quite daring, engaging in stock trading with such a high-risk investment, and even adding 5 times leverage. Previously, Qin Lang had been completely ignorant of this domain, but now he was entirely transformed, with familiar professional jargon clear as day. Noticing that Mu Yuyin had also employed 5 times leverage, he could not resist teasing her. Are you hoping to make a quick profit? Without leverage, even substantial gains would yield little. Mu Yuyin felt somewhat aggrieved. Ultimately, it was greed that led to such a predicament. Qin Lang chuckled and began to manipulate the mouse, investing the entirety of the 2 million account balance into a stock that was currently flourishing. Yet, this was merely the beginning. In the domestic market, leverage could reach a maximum of 10 times, which correspondingly meant tenfold losses. However, this was the foreign network, where leverage could soar to a staggering 100 times. After Qin Lang acquired the investment eye, he recklessly plunged in, employing 100-fold leverage. A sharp intake of breath escaped Mu Yuyin upon witnessing the spectacle. Such audacious maneuvering could easily lead to liquidation. She was left utterly astounded. While 100-fold leverage has the potential to yield substantial profits, it simultaneously embodies immense risk. What does this signify? With an initial investment of over 2 million, one would need to incur 100% loss to deplete the funds entirely, an almost impossible scenario. Yet, with the introduction of such leverage, a mere point drop could render the account entirely void in an instant. The heavy industry market is inherently unstable, oscillating between red and green. Fluctuations of a single point are alarmingly commonplace, occurring in the blink of an eye. Don't be hasty. After all, you've already incurred significant losses. With just over 2 million left, 1T it's thing to withdraw? Qin Lang turned back, teasingly fixating on Mu Yuyin, exclaiming, "Let us gamble. A bicycle can become a motorcycle." In the brief span of their conversation, the stock Qin Lang had chosen plummeted from 324 to 216. In less than 2 minutes, it had risen by a point, an impressive fluctuation indeed. Under Qin Lang's all-in strategy, the remaining funds of over 2 million in his account skyrocketed to nearly 5 million in the blink of an eye. Without a moment's hesitation, he discarded the stock entirely. Although the money could not be withdrawn immediately, transferring it to another stock required no time delay. 5 million was swiftly reinvested into another promising stock, still leveraging 100-fold. Engaging in stock trading essentially involves purchasing at low points and selling at highs. Some traders prefer long-term strategies, spanning a year or so. But Qin Lang lacked the luxury of time. With the investment eye, it was as if he possessed a superpower to foresee market shifts within mere minutes. with astonishing precision. He favored short-term strategies, characterized by audacity and a willingness to go all in. As half an hour passed, Mu Yiyin watched in disbelief. Meanwhile, Lin Yuchu, who had been mumbling grandma, getting into bed in the corner, finally concluded after repeating it 1,000 times, her voice hoarse. Approaching the table, she gulped down a glass of water before resting her hand on Mu Yiyin's shoulder. What's going on? Over 2 million, and you still haven't lost it all? Just as she uttered these words, Lin Yuchu caught sight of Qin Lang's personal account after he sold the stock. Her beautiful eyes widened in astonishment. 6 million? Over $60 million? At the current exchange rate, ISNT, that nearly 400 million Dragon Kingdom currency? Chapter 243, a tremendous windfall. Two women stunned. Am I seeing things? How did the account balance soar to over $60 million in such a short time? Did you all secretly add funds while I was standing in the corner? This is madness. You're telling me this is stock trading? Isn't this simply pouring money into the abyss? Even wealth cannot withstand such extravagance. It would be wise to withdraw promptly. Otherwise, the losses could escalate beyond comprehension. Lin Yuchu's wild speculations are not unfounded. She has never encountered a trader like this before and instinctively suspects that Qin Lang has injected more funds into the account. Given Qin Lang's background as a wealthy heir, it is entirely plausible. Who engages in stock trading like this? Losing 300 million, then infusing another 400 million? This is a veritable pit of financial ruin. Let us remain calm. No money has been added. Mu Yin interjected, stopping the overly agitated Lin Yuchu. Her beautiful eyes fixated intently on the computer screen. While others may be oblivious, she is fully aware. Qin Lang hasn't deposited a single cent. The over 60 million was entirely earned within the last half hour through astute buying and selling. From 2 million to 5 million, then 20 million, 80 million, 160 million, and finally settling at 40 million. There were 5 transactions in total, each involving a single stock, leveraging 100 times. Whether the stocks were green or red, after Qin Lang's purchase, they invariably surged within mere minutes, with increases ranging from a minimal point to nearly 4 points. Yet, that is not the most terrifying aspect. The most astonishing part is Mu Yiyin's inability to comprehend the foresight required to analyze the stock market with such clarity. On one occasion, less than 2 minutes after Qin Lang sold the stock, it plummeted by a full point. What does that signify? If Qin Lang had merely paused for a sip of water or a trip to the restroom for 2 minutes, a 1-point loss, coupled with 100-fold leverage, would have wiped the account clean, leaving nothing but empty remnants. Mu Yiyin watched in horror as that stock descended. What a chilling thought. If she were in such a lucrative scenario, would she have the presence of mind to sell in time? A moment's hesitation could lead to an unfathomable abyss. It is miraculous, utterly miraculous. Mu Yiyin's gaze drifted to Qin Lang's cheek, captivated by his profile, her infatuation deepening as she gazed at him. She felt as though Qin Lang was shrouded in a veil of mystery. The version of him she once knew seemed a mere fade. What else might he be concealing? What other talents lie hidden within him? Had it not been for this moment, how could Mu Yiyin have ever fathomed Qin Lang's profound understanding of the stock market? He has once again ventured forth, leveraging 100 times. Lin Yuchu, watching Qin Lang maneuver the mouse, could not help but swallow hard, staring in awe. Over $60 million. Nearly 400 million in Dragon Kingdom currency. Such a staggering sum that even the Lin family's enterprises in Tianhai City would struggle to attain this level of pure profit within a quarter. Of course, a significant factor lies in the fact that the Lin family's industrial focus has yet to fully shift to Tianhai City. Nonetheless, this stock trading has transformed into a high-stakes gamble, the kind of situation that could lead the vast majority of affluent individuals to ruin. It plummeted. My heavens. It just fell by 0.1, resulting in a loss exceeding $6 million. Lin Yuchu exclaimed, staring in disbelief at the stock that had descended by 0.1, suddenly witnessing a staggering loss of over $6 million. This exemplifies the peril of 100-fold leverage. A drop of 0.1 corresponds to a 10% decrease in the invested funds. Mu Yiyin was equally taken aback, encountering a scenario in the preceding half hour that was utterly unprecedented. Previously, Qin Lang's investments had always surged upon purchase, yet this time, it had inexplicably declined. She contemplated intervening, urging Qin Lang to withdraw from the stock market promptly. With a principal of 300 million still in Dragon Country currency, even after incurring a loss of over $6 million, she could safeguard her capital. However, gazing at Qin Lang, who was utterly engrossed, she refrained from speaking up. If he wished to play, Let him continue. After all, that 300 million was her own loss. The money belonged to Qin Lang, her partner, and she felt no need to voice her concerns. If the worst were to happen, they could simply cease their involvement in such speculative ventures in the future. Just as this thought crossed her mind, a monumental shift occurred on the computer's graphical interface. The foreign heavy industry stock that Qin Lang had ventured into began to ascend. It rose by 0, 5, then 1, 2, 3, 5, and ultimately 5, 8. It turned crimson, a magnificent surge. Within a mere 20 minutes, this stock skyrocketed, exhibiting a trend akin to reaching the upper limit of domestic stock prices. Naturally, in foreign markets, there is no concept of a price ceiling. This time, they were poised to reap significant profits. Yet, Qin Lang remained unperturbed by the vibrant stock, promptly ceasing the active skill of his investment eye. After 48 minutes, he expended 98,000 points of villainous destiny value. Moreover, he immediately liquidated all his stocks. Entering the market again was no longer an option. Their movements had already attracted the attention of certain institutions. Should they re-enter, it would not be a matter of profit, but rather a potential entrapment. Qin Lang calmly remarked. Such exorbitant operations could only yield initial sweetness. Once foreign institutions took notice, they would inevitably face a crackdown. At that point, even with investment eye, any stock he purchased would begin to fluctuate violently. How could one continue in such circumstances? It was far wiser to withdraw while the opportunity remained. Of course, there was a flaw in this approach. The lure of wealth could drive individuals to madness, especially when combined with such aggressive trading methods and the investment eye. Akin to a cheat tool, how could one expect to remain unscathed? Since this account had already attracted attention, some might question why not switch to another account? Engage in guerrilla tactics, making small profits here and there, or directly plunge in with their entire fortune to amass hundreds of millions, creating a monumental event of billionaires. Alas, these notions existed solely in the realm of fantasy, utterly impractical in reality. In a mere moment, the eye of investment had depleted nearly 100,000 points of its villainous fate value. Engaging in guerrilla tactics was far too time-consuming. Just a slight exposure would lead to discovery and scrutiny, rendering the efforts futile. As for a reckless gamble that could lead to bankruptcy, that was entirely out of the question. Once the money in the stock market reached a certain height, extracting it was no longer a simple endeavor. It was akin to shorting a nation, tantamount to waging an economic war. What does that imply? It could directly influence international dynamics and possibly spark conflict. Casting aside such thoughts, Qin Lang opened his personal account, revealing a staggering balance of $350 million. In 48 minutes, over 2 million Dragon Country coins had surged to $350 million. With an exchange rate of 1.68, this amounted to nearly 2.4 billion Dragon Country coins, a rise from under $370,000 to $3.5 billion. Lin Yuchu, observing from the side, felt her lips twitch in disbelief. This was akin to rubbing iron filings on one's face during a downpour. Rusty and utterly absurd. Chapter 244. The Luo family and Luo Qingyu. Qin Lang's lips twitched. Was 1,000 repetitions truly insufficient? One had to admit, Lin Yuchu's knack for playful banter was relentless, leaving him utterly bemused. Lin Yuchu approached, wrapping her arms around his, calling out sweetly. Her face resembled a peach blossom, her beautiful eyes shimmering with a hint of mischief, as she teased, "You're so impressive. Just say what you mean instead of acting so strangely." Mu Yuyan rolled her eyes, pulling Lin Yuchu aside. Did she really expect her to act as if Qin Lang were the air she breathed? Lin Yuchu, unfazed, continued to gaze at Qin Lang with longing. Your trading skills are extraordinary. Why not continue under a different account? Time is running out, and once the next round begins, you could use my account to venture further. The speed at which you make money is unmatched. It was often said that Lin Yuchu paled in comparison to Mu Yuyan, particularly in business matters, a notion that irked her deeply. Yet, the reality was undeniable, leaving no room for rebuttal. However, the current circumstances were different. If Qin Lang could take over her stock market account and casually inject a few $1 million within a single night, that could escalate into billions. If this continued over several nights, she could emerge as a billionaire in Dragon Country. With such wealth, she could present it to the elders of the Lin family. Who would dare claim she was not industrious? She had secured a golden son-in-law. In her life, capturing a figure like Qin Lang was her true vocation. How naive to assume those foreign institutions were fools. If they repeated the previous operation, before the funds could accumulate, they would be targeted. Qin Lang waved his hand dismissively. You've already made far too much. If we use my account, let us avoid unnecessary noise and quietly amass wealth. Earning a couple of $1 million overnight should suffice. Although my Lin family may lack prominence in the stock market, acquiring a batch of accounts is certainly within our capabilities. Tonight, we shall earn 20 million. By tomorrow night, another 20 million. In a month, that amounts to 600 million. And in a year, a staggering $7 billion. Dollar. That's right. Dollars, equivalent to 4 or 500 billion Dragon Country coins, all in liquid assets. I could easily position myself among the elite of wealthy women across the entirety of Huaxia. At worst, I can lend you a hand tonight. She cast a meaningful glance towards Mu Yuyan, her beautiful eyes glinting with intent. Even Qin Lang felt a fleeting disorientation, pondering the feasibility of such a plan. Could this actually work? There exists a certain degree of viability. Across Huaxia, there are countless accounts scattered throughout the stock market. If we could just extract a little profit, even the institutions would struggle to maintain their discerning oversight. But truly adhering to Lin Youchu's idea would demand an immense amount of time and a significant waste of villain points. Even if Lin Youchu were to be deprived of hydration daily, it wouldn't compensate for the losses. Such a whimsical creature, learning the worst without guidance while neglecting the best. Qin Lang lightly tapped Lin Youchu's head in exasperation. The stock market is inherently volatile. A single misstep could lead to utter ruin. No one can guarantee victory. You should abandon such thoughts and refrain from scheming. Mu Yuyan gently pulled Lin Youchu aside to offer comfort, then turned to Qin Lang, asking, have you eaten? Qin Lang shook his head. Perfect timing. I'll heat up the food. Downstairs, a lavish spread awaited, a feast for the senses. Qin Lang, already famished and anticipating the night's events, was eager to replenish his strength with a hearty meal. Have some soup. Mu Yuyan tenderly offered him a bowl of goji berry and pork rib soup. Lin Youchu observed with sly intrigue. Although seated opposite Qin Lang, she found it inconvenient to serve food. Yet, her tactics were deftly executed. For instance, at that very moment, her long, slender leg, wrapped in white silk, was subtly resting on Qin Lang's thigh, gradually inching upwards. Startled, Qin Lang jolted, nearly spilling his soup, and lifted his gaze towards Lin Youchu. This girl certainly had audacity. She dared to be so brazen in front of Mu Yuyan. Was there not a shred of camaraderie left? Yuyan, didn't you make sweet and sour pork before? Why not warm it up and let us taste it? Lin Youchu urged, seeking a moment of distraction to facilitate her upcoming plans. If you want it heated, you can do it yourself. Mu Yuyan huffed, clearly harboring unresolved matters in her heart. Qin Lang glanced over, his brow furrowed in suspicion. Do you have something on your mind? No, Mu Yuyan replied, shaking her head. It's just that the sweet and sour pork has been reheated too many times and has lost its texture. Lin Youchu reclined in her chair, arms crossed, exuding a facade of calmness, masking her frustration. Who could have imagined that beneath Lin Youchu's composed exterior, her long leg was slithering beneath the table like a serpent? Yuyan dared not inquire, so I shall voice her unspoken question. It pertains to the matters of the Qin family in Yanjing, where it is rumored that you have been betrothed. Moreover, your fiancé hails from the Luo family, situated in the neighboring Tianyu city of Tianhai. Yuan Fong, no. Qin Lang, what is your perspective on this matter? Mu Yuyan shot an annoyed glance at Lin Youchu as she placed a generous piece of chicken leg into her bowl, exclaiming, eating won't silence your incessant chatter. You think yourself so clever and loquacious. Though she complained, deep within her heart lingered an unease regarding the term fiancé. Qin Lang was known to have other romantic interests, a fact she had come to accept. Yet when it came to the notion of a fiancé, no matter how much she feigned ignorance, she could not genuinely find peace. Qin Lang chuckled. How can I form an opinion when I have yet to meet her? She is beautiful, utterly exquisite. I have had the fortune to behold her. Even Yuyan and I together would not rival her singular prowess. Of course, I refer to prowess in combat. Previously, the esteemed daughter of the Luo family, Luo Qingyu, had visited Yanjing to attend a banquet, where a scion from a top-tier family became infatuated with her, launching a fervent pursuit. As you are aware, in a place like Yanjing, the influence of a first-class family is formidable. A family like the Luo, which might command respect in Tianyu City, would struggle to make waves in Yanjing. After being spurned, that scion resorted to aggression. What transpired? Not only he but even his cadre of skilled bodyguards ended up with bruised faces. Curiously, following the incident, that first-class family not only refrained from retaliating against the Luo family, but even publicly apologized to Luo Qingyu. What does this signify? A humble family from one locality managed to best a scion from a prestigious Yanjing family, publicly humiliating him. Rather than inciting vengeance, they were met with an apology. Logically, such a scenario seems implausible. Yet, in reality, which prominent family would willingly forfeit their dignity? Even when their offspring misbehave, they would employ various tactics to salvage their reputation or even threaten the Luo family into submission. However, in Luo Qingyu's case, the dynamics shifted entirely. If there were not some peculiar undertone to this situation, Lin Yuchu would find it hard to believe. Furthermore, the Luo family had unexpectedly latched onto the significant influence of the Qin family. A mere Luo family aspiring to unite with a behemoth like the Qin family? This is simply unfathomable. Lin Yuchu pursed her lips, her fists clenched. Luo Qingyu was indeed a formidable individual. Upon hearing this, Mu Yuyin felt a cold sweat bead in her heart. She had been oblivious to the gravity of the situation until Lin Yuchu elucidated it for her. Now, it was no longer merely a matter of her status as a fiancée, but rather the concern that if Luo Qingyu possessed any formidable capabilities, her role as an unrecognized girlfriend, who also happened to be the ex-fiancée, would likely subject her to further exclusion and suppression. Yin, why are you so anxious? Are you afraid of not being able to meet Qin Lang in the future? Lin Yuchu curled her lips, exuding an air of confidence, as if she held the wisdom of the ages in her grasp. Fear not, for in this world there exists not a cat that does not stray. Not only Qin Lang, but even her father, who was kept firmly under her mother's thumb at home, still had his social engagements outside. What is there to be anxious about over a mere fiancé? What difference does it make? She could easily play the role of a mistress without distinction. After all, isn't it said that one can go half a year without a deal and then feast for the next 6 months? In truth, you're only privy to superficial tidings, while the deeper truths remain utterly unknown to you. Qin Lang observed the disheartened Mu Yuyin and felt compelled to offer her comfort. Just before arriving here, he had received word that in Luojia from Tianyu City, Luo Qingyu had suffered a serious ailment. She was likely injured by an enemy and was gravely wounded, possibly on the brink of death. According to the original plot's progression, Luo Qingyu had indeed been poisoned, with a risk of demise looming. But who is Luo Qingyu's junior sister? The little medical fairy. Her medical skills were crafted according to the template of the Chosen One, and with her accompanying Luo Qingyu. Death was improbable, though a significant loss of power was quite likely. He would not divulge further details in public. Could it be true? Such a grave matter. And yet I have heard no rumors. Mu Yuyan exclaimed, astonished. Since learning of Qin Lang's engagement to Luo Qingyu, she had been more concerned about Luo Qingyu than anyone else, yet had never heard any news of her injury. Naturally, no news would have circulated. After all, until Luo Qingyu's death, the Luo family was to be the future in-laws of the Qin family. Regardless of whether it was a family in Tianyu City or in Yanjing, they would surely show some respect, even going so far as to curry favor. Even though Luo Qingyu's condition was dire, there were still those within the Luo family eager to seize the opportunity, seeking to extract as much benefit as possible while the engagement still stood. The Qin family was an absolute behemoth, towering over all families in Tianyu City. Countless families aspired to connect with the Qin family through the Luo family, and even a mere appearance could draw throngs eager to engage. Once the news of his engagement to Luo Qingyu spread, the benefits that flowed to the Luo family could be described as abundant, with a multitude of contracts and collaborations arriving in droves. Wealth is a powerful motivator. Though some of the Luo family mourned Luo Qingyu's potential demise, many more were filled with trepidation, hoping to capitalize on this final opportunity to claim even greater gains. However, this news could not remain concealed for long. The Luo family's schemes had already been uncovered. It seemed the engagement would be unsustainable. Qin Lang shook his head in derision. The Luo family's attempts to suppress information and profit from the chaos were futile, for what indeed was the Qin family's stature? Now that the circumstances surrounding Luo Qingyu were known, the Qin family would not allow the Luo family to act recklessly, as it would be a breach of propriety. Soon, whispers regarding Luo Qingyu's plight would spread far and wide. What a pity it was for such an exceptionally gifted woman, a paragon of beauty, to meet such a tragic fate. Lin Yuchu sighed, imbued with a sense of camaraderie towards heroes. Casting a glance at Mu Yuyin, who was fixated on her, Lin quickly pouted in displeasure. What are you looking at? I'm not secretly delighted. I genuinely feel pity. The mutual admiration was palpable, as they were both skilled martial artists. Alas, Mu Yiyan had misguidedly applied her talents, ultimately leading to her own downfall. Lin reflected on their shared prowess in martial arts, yet lamented how Luo Qingyu had chosen the wrong path, engaging in conflict with so many, leaving her vulnerable to ambush. Unlike her, although she possessed formidable skills, she only dealt with one opponent at a time, thus minimizing her risks and, at times, even relishing the challenge. Enough, I'm full. You all continue to eat, Lin Yuchu said, retracting her long legs from Qin Lang's lap and rising from the table, making her way upstairs. Half an hour later, devoid of Lin Yuchu's interruption, Mu Yuyan nestled into Qin Lang's embrace, growing increasingly tender, opening her heart to him. Let us go upstairs, she suggested, cradling Qin Lang's head, her beautiful eyes shimmering like autumn ripples. The house was not solely hers. Considering Lin Yuchu's mischievous nature, she could conjure any number of surprises. Mu Yuyan felt a twinge of anxiety. If Lin were to catch them in the act, it would be disastrous. Come on, let us head upstairs, Qin Lang declared, lifting Mu Yuyan's graceful form effortlessly as he strode confidently toward the upper floor. Upon entering the room, they were greeted by the subtly bulging curtains, creating an unusual arc. Mu Yuyan glanced briefly and gestured to Qin Lang. Understanding her cue, he exited this bedroom and hurried to Lin Yuchu's room. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have acquired 1,000 villain points. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have acquired 10,002 villain points. 2 hours later, Mu Yuyan embraced Qin Lang's neck, initiating a kiss. On one hand, she genuinely felt fatigued, having been overwhelmed by the demands of work and the turmoil surrounding Luo Qingyu, leaving her drained. On the other hand, there lingered a sense of grievance. Was a kiss too much to ask for? His precise strikes left her longing for relief from her heartache. Chapter 246. A moment of rest, let us take a break, Mu Yu interjected, wrapping her arms around Qin Lang's neck. Qin Lang inhaled the faint scent of perfume in the room, frowning in suspicion. Why do I feel that your perfume has an odd aroma? Mu Yuyan hesitated, rolling her eyes, and playfully punched his chest. What odd scent? You're just talking nonsense. Even if questioned, she would never concede. After all, during Qin Lang's last visit to her home, nothing transpired, and he left abruptly. At that time, she had sought to avoid deepening her relationship with Lin Yuchu. Hence the excuse to depart. Little did she know that his departure would extend into such a lengthy absence. She began to doubt whether she possessed any charm at all. Otherwise, why would Qin Lang's thoughts not linger on her? Even if there were a slight inclination to take advantage of her, that would still be preferable. Perhaps it was her overwhelming allure that captivated him. Qin Lang let out a derisive snicker, choosing not to expose her uncertainty. Instead, he playfully pinched the tip of Mu Yuyan's nose and settled comfortably against the headboard, cradling the enchanting woman in his embrace as he summoned the system interface. System panel, character, Qin Lang, age, 25, physique, 398, charm, 99 destined villain value, 2, 985, 000 techniques, 9 reversal heavenly dragon art, 3rd reversal amplification 3375. Requires 1 million destined villain value to advance to the 4th reversal. Pure Yang dominance body, breathing technique skills, affinity 10, group affinity 100, master piano technique, master tea art, master calligraphy, disguise mastery, advanced firearms proficiency, advanced danger perception, master medical skills, master singing technique, master guitar technique, advanced information disruption. Shop, open lottery center, open. Each lottery consumes 1,000 destined villain value. System backpack. 5 cleansing pills, 14 beauty pills, Ice Peak Romance Special Edition photo album. 29 memory fruits. There was little change, save for the increase in his destined villain value from under 2.8 million to nearly 3 million. Among this, several thousand were contributed by the fortunate Sun Chun fan, and another 50,000 were rewards for assisting Zhou Keiqing with her cold ailments. The rest was the fruit of Qin Lang's diligent and earnest efforts over the past few days. Accumulating destined villain value was no easy feat. Otherwise, he wouldn't be working around the clock. All he desired was to draw something exceptional. Lottery. Let us commence with 10 consecutive draws. Qin Lang silently chanted in his mind. A golden, ethereal roulette materialized before him, visible only to him. Even Mu Yuyan, nestled in his arms and gazing adoringly at his profile, remained oblivious to any anomaly. The gamble spun rapidly, and moments later, the golden pointer landed on a small sector labeled Physique 1. Ding! Congratulations, host! You have obtained Physique 1. Ding! Congratulations, host! You have acquired 1/3 of a Physique 10 potion. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have received a Neza-flowing fairy skirt 1. The 10 draws concluded. Qin Lang cast a cursory glance. As usual, the probability of obtaining useful items was rather low. The vast majority were tied to the fortunate daughter. Additionally, there were several utterly useless trinkets. Despite his inner grievances, he remained serious as he focused on the Physique 10 potion he had encountered for the first time, pondering suspiciously. System, what exactly is this? Will drinking a bottle of 1/3 potion increase my physique by 333? Ding! The Physique 10 potion must be consumed in its complete form to attain Physique 10. TSK, what a splendid item. Physique 10? It is important to note that, given his current constitution, it is exceedingly rare to find anything in the marketplace that could enhance it, even during the lottery draws. The likelihood of obtaining prizes related to constitution is minuscule. However, when fortune does favor, it can be astonishing. A constitution of 10. Having already drawn 1/3 of it with merely 10,000 points of villainous destiny, he need not fret about acquiring the remaining 2/3. Draw 100 or so. Ascend to greatness. Ding! The detection of the host's fanciful thoughts prompts this notification. The Constitution 10 elixir is effective only for humans with a constitution below 500. This elixir primarily serves to bolster the strength of the host's subordinates. Indeed, this revelation led Qin Lang to realize that the capabilities of his subordinates were somewhat lacking. Take Junzi, for instance. He exhibited no competitive edge against Chen Fan. Similarly, although the blood-red mandala ranked among the top 3 assassins in terms of true strength, she was significantly inferior to Wan Hui. Draw again. Qin Lang waved his hand, momentarily setting aside these concerns. Let S draw first and ponder the implications later. Elevating his constitution to 500 points would enable him to suppress Chun Fan without resorting to underhanded tactics. Even if the Child of Destiny had hidden cards, did he not possess any of his own? The 9-turn Celestial Dragon technique enhances adaptability with the increase in constitution. Attempting to forcefully activate the 3rd turn with over 300 points could be fatal. Yet, if his constitution were to reach 500 points, such an endeavor might leave him with at least half his life intact, avoiding utter disgrace. The golden wheel of fortune began to spin once more. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have obtained 1/10 of a 1,000-year-old Tianshan Snow Lotus. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have acquired a 7th-dimensional space 10. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have obtained another 1/10 of a 1,000-year-old Tianshan Snow Lotus. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have received localized observation hockey. Typically, the lottery draws would proceed seamlessly. Yet this time, the abundance of villainous destiny points rendered Qin Lang compelled to pause and inquire about any intriguing or peculiar items he encountered during the draw. He was familiar with the 1,000-year-old Tianshan Snow Lotus. It is a rare treasure, invaluable yet difficult to obtain, capable of saving lives. Its appearance now is likely closely tied to the gravely injured Luo Qingyu. After all, if the little medical fairy could barely sustain Luo Qingyu, consuming this Tianshan Snow Lotus would at least preserve some of her strength, preventing her from losing it entirely. As for his medical skills, they are at least on par with those of the little medical fairy. However, upon first meeting Luo Qingyu, how could he directly employ his medical expertise to aid her? Such an action would not align with his principles and would fail to leave a profound impression on her. The goal is to create a challenge, to expend his energy in earnest to assist Luo Qingyu, striving to help her escape her dire predicament. Otherwise, how could he demonstrate his sincerity? To illustrate, consider a fortunate maiden facing dire financial straits, desperately in need of assistance. 2 individuals come to her aid. 1, a destitute soul who scrapes together every last coin, and the other, a wealthy benefactor who casually tosses a handful of cash her way. Which act is more profound? One offers $10 from mere 10, while the other contributes a mere 10 from a wealth of 10,000. Ordinary individuals might be inclined to favor the affluent benefactor. Yet it is crucial to recognize that this is a fortunate maiden, whose character naturally draws admiration and preference towards the former. What then? Is this phenomenon of armed color dominion? As Qin Lang gazed upon his newly acquired skill, a wave of bewilderment washed over him, as if he were ensnared in a dream. The addition of a localized enhancement seemed utterly absurd. With a mere thought, the armed color dominion enveloped his arm, visibly transforming before his eyes. Solid as iron, it truly manifested as one would expect of such a skill. It seemed that, once enveloped in this armed color dominion, Qin Lang could contend with various weapons using only his own arm, as if he could block strikes directly. Of course, this was merely a hypothetical scenario. Who is Qin Lang? The arch-villain. How could he possibly engage in such self-deprecating actions? While others wield blades, must he resort to firearms? To forego the use of a gun would be sheer folly. Only a fool would pit bare fists against weapons in a clash. Armed color dominion is not intended for such frivolous use. Soon, the layer of armed color dominion coiling around his arm began to dissipate rapidly. Meanwhile, nestled contentedly in his embrace, Mu Yin sensed something amiss and grew anxious, her expression turning bewildered. Had they not agreed to rest for a moment? Just as she was savoring a brief respite, an overwhelming pressure returned. At times, it is not a lack of willingness, but rather an overwhelming burden that hinders her. Do not be alarmed. This is a normal occurrence. Just wait a moment, and it shall pass. Qin Lang chuckled awkwardly. Just then, an unexpected noise erupted from beneath the bed, followed by a startled exclamation. Ouch! My head! What a wretched wooden board! It hurts terribly. Lin Yuchu emerged from beneath the bed, rubbing her sore head and slightly reddened eyes. Had she not endured over 2 hours concealed beneath the bed? Just as she heard good news, her excitement led to a painful bump on her head. Young Chu, what are you doing here? When did you come in? Mu Yuyin exclaimed in alarm, hastily clutching the blanket to cover herself. Bewildered, she pondered how Lin Yuchu could have been in her room, hidden behind the curtains. Moreover, she had locked the door upon entering. From where had Lin Yuchu emerged? Could she possibly have passed through the wall? Rubbing her head to ease the pain, Lin Yuchu, after a moment's pause, revealed a mischievous smile. You can't possibly think that the thing behind the curtains was truly me, can you? That was merely a rolled-up yoga mat. Mu Yuyin extended her hand, pointing in the direction of Lin Yuchu, her pearly teeth clenched in agitation. Lin Yuchu, with an air of innocence, spread her hands, questioning why there was such anger. I said nothing. I merely placed the yoga mat there. What have I done? I merely anticipated your anticipation. Lin Yuchu believed she had been sufficiently magnanimous, hiding beneath the bedboard for an undetermined length of time, remaining silent to avoid any resentment from Mu Yuyin. Oh, now Qin Lang is back, and Mu Yuyin remains obstinately in her position. How can I be justified? No matter what, she cannot afford to miss this splendid opportunity. What do you intend to do? Mu Yuyin reached out, seizing Lin Yuchu, her face full of vigilance. This individual was utterly outrageous. She didn't regard her at all, despite her presence. Just because you can't do it doesn't imply I can't. Lin Yuchu, filled with anticipation, declared, I have diligently practiced yoga. We are not on the same level. Rest assured, I shall handle the remaining matters. Concerned that Mu Yuyin had yet to resolve her inner turmoil, she leaned closer, whispering softly in her ear, ensuring only the two could hear. Collaboration leads to mutual benefit. If you leave Qin Lang feeling unfulfilled this time, the future may become increasingly uncertain. What then? Though reluctant, Lin Yuchu had adeptly identified Mu Yuyin's vulnerabilities, recognizing what she cherished and feared losing. With merely a few words, she loosened the grip on Lin Yuchu's hand. A surge of joy filled Lin Yuchu's heart as she gazed at Qin Lang, her eyes sparkling with confidence and a hint of disdain. In this regard, Mu Yuyin could not compare. Lin Yuchu had genuinely studied the art. Haunted by her previous defeat, this time she sought to reclaim her honor. There was no need for any embellishments. Besides, after lurking beneath the bed for so long, what more was needed? Assisting her friend in alleviating her troubles was sufficient. Ding! Congratulations, host, for acquiring 1,000 points of Destiny villain value. Yuyin, do you see? Sometimes, things are not as you envision. Not every situation requires retreat. Often, one must bravely forge ahead, defying expectations. Lin Yuchu wiped the beads of sweat from her forehead, casting a guiding glance at Mu Yuyin, who was hiding under the blanket. Ding! Congratulations, host, for acquiring 10,002 points of Destiny villain value. Yuyin, are you not afraid of suffocating yourself? Lin Yuchu murmured, a tremor of concern in her voice. At that moment, her confidence had waned considerably. She now understood the grave nature of her friend's previous ordeal and recalled her own past defeat, a memory that pierced her deeply. Qin Lang, you shall not bully Yuyin anymore. If there are issues, confront me instead. To bolster her spirits, Lin Yuchu huffed defiantly. Qin Lang chuckled softly. Very well. He unobtrusively activated his ability. Domineering. Armed hockey. Ding. Congratulations to the host for acquiring a villain value of 10,003. Ding. Congratulations to the host for acquiring a villain value of 10,004. 2 hours later, Mu Yuyin, with her head buried in the quilt, turned to glance back. Startled and bewildered. What is happening? Lin Yuchu, in a daze, had initially called out to Mu Yuyin, seeking assistance. She had already suffered a crushing defeat, but the words of plea caught in her throat, unable to be uttered, as an inexplicable sensation filled her with reluctance to seek help. Strangely, this feeling was rather pleasant. As Lin Yuchu noticed Mu Yuyin gazing at her, a sudden rush of heat surged in her mind, and she exclaimed with a hint of pride, "Yuyin, I have made my debut." Chapter 248. 500 points of constitution in the early hours of the morning, after earning 7,000 points of villain value. Qin Lang lay leisurely, tucking the blanket with his feet. He attempted to withdraw his hand from the nape of Mu Yuyin's neck, only to provoke a counteraction. Ugh! Mu Yuyin's eyelids fluttered violently as she grasped Qin Lang's arm, shifting it upward. Her small mouth murmured incoherently, not quite discernible, yet she clung tightly to his arm, refusing to let go. Never mind. After casting a glance, Qin Lang chose not to act further, silently reciting the words for a lottery draw. The golden will began to spin once more. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring Constitution 1. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring 1/10 of the Tianshan Snow Lotus. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring 1 washing marrow pill. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring 1/3 of the Constitution 10 potion. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring 1% of the indestructible golden body skill. Over an hour later, after expending nearly 2 million villain points and conducting nearly 2,000 draws, the system panel was rejuvenated. System panel, character, Qin Lang, age, 25 constitution, 430 charm, 99 villain value, 1025-000 martial arts, 9 turn heavenly dragon technique. Third turn increases by 375. Requires 1 million villain points to ascend to the fourth turn. Pure Yang dominance body, breath control technique, Tai Chi skills, affinity 10, group affinity 100, masterful piano skills. Exceptional T-art, superb calligraphy, disguise technique, advanced firearms proficiency, advanced danger perception, divine medical skills, outstanding singing ability, proficient guitar skills, advanced information disruption, localized armament hockey. Indestructible golden body, 40 out of 60. Store. Opening lottery center. Opening, each draw costs 1,000 villain points. System backpack. 85 washing marrow pills, 14 beauty pills. Ice Peak Love Special Edition. 59 memory fruits, 5 ethereal flowing skirts, 3 Tianshan snow lotuses, 90 constitution 10 potions. This time, it can be said that Qin Lang invested heavily in the lottery. With nearly 2 million points spent, it was not for the Tianshan snow lotus or the constitution 10 potion, but rather for the coveted special skill, the Indestructible Golden Body. Indestructible Golden Body, a passive skill that, once activated, consumes 10,000 points of destiny villain value per minute, allowing the user to maintain an unblemished physique, effectively resisting physical damage that exceeds their own combat prowess by several times. In essence, while this skill is active, the damage sustained is nearly immune. Furthermore, the greatest constraint that Qin Lang faces is the inability to withstand the self-destructive force after activating the 9 transformations Celestial Dragon technique. However, upon activating the Indestructible Golden Body, the situation of inflicting 1,000 points of damage to the enemy while suffering 800 points of self-harm becomes non-existent. Only the consumption of Destiny Villain value is required to unleash a physical combat power exceeding 3 times his base strength. Chen Fan, regardless of any potential countermeasures, he would decisively overpower him. As for Chun Fan's 7 senior sisters, if he finds them appealing, he shall take them home as caretakers. If not, with the activation of the 9 transformations Celestial Dragon technique, he could easily subdue all 7 senior sisters simultaneously. Alas, the probability of acquiring fragments of the Indestructible Golden Body is exceedingly low, to the extent that even after expending nearly 2 million points of Destiny Villain value, he has only amassed 40 out of 60 fragments, requiring an additional 20 occurrences before they can be utilized. With just over 1 million points of Destiny Villain value remaining, he must refrain from indiscriminate use to prepare for unforeseen circumstances. Should any unexpected events arise, the system's self-repair capability will be crucial. He is now acutely aware of the system's nature. It recognizes only Destiny Villain value, not individuals. As long as there are sufficient points, the system can be subservient. Otherwise, how could it have automatically assisted in healing his injuries during his last near-fatal encounter? Carefully assessing the myriad items within the system backpack, He shifted aside the various odds and ends. Dozens of bottles containing a vibrant blue potion became increasingly conspicuous. This azure liquid, emanating a faint glow within the bottles, comprises the Physique 10 potion, of which he has drawn 90 bottles. Without hesitation, he retrieved one and poured it into his mouth. It tasted akin to a functional beverage, quite palatable. As soon as it entered his stomach, he felt his blood and energy flow accelerate, as though experiencing a transformative surge. Gradually, black impurities were expelled from his body. He sensed a subtle enhancement in his strength. With a foundational physique of 430, an increase of 10 points was discernible, though not overwhelmingly so. Glancing down at his own condition, Qin Lang slowly withdrew his hand from Mu Yuyan's nape and proceeded toward the bathroom, simultaneously retrieving 6 more Physique 10 potions, drinking them in quick succession. His physique reached the maximum enhancement the potions could provide, standing at an impressive 500. The following morning, after relishing a sumptuous breakfast prepared by the enchanting CEO, Mu Yuyan, and exchanging a tender kiss, he departed. Seated across from him at the dining table, Lin Yuchu, feeling discontented, poked at the empty plate with her chopsticks, raising her head to grumble. "Ian, where's my breakfast? I'm absolutely famished. Won't you go out to eat yourself?" Mu Yuyan coldly scoffed, fixing a piercing gaze upon her. Lin Yuchu, feeling a surge of indignation, pointed an accusatory finger at her, exclaiming in frustration, "Mu Yuyan, I truly did not expect you to be such a person. Had I known you were so heartless and ungrateful, I would have let Qin Lang bully you to death. Why should I bear the burden for you? After all the assistance I've provided, you couldn't even prepare a simple breakfast for me? Do you still consider me your close friend? I want to sever ties with you." "Close friend?" Mu Yuyan, infuriated by the remark, found herself almost amused. "I called you down for breakfast this morning, yet you refused. Do you really believe that pretending to be asleep while I prepare breakfast would go unnoticed? Fine, you wish to sever ties? Then go ahead, leave now, and never sneak back into my home again." In an instant, Lin Yuchu's brazen demeanor dissipated, and with a playful giggle, she sprang from her seat to embrace Mu Yuyan's arm. "Yuyan, look at you, why so serious? How could we possibly end our friendship? After last night, we are inseparable." Chapter 249. The Crimson Mandala encountered trouble in the spacious back seat of the Maybach. Qin Lang reclined, crossing his legs, stifling a yawn and rubbing his eyes, appearing somewhat fatigued. Recent days had been relentless. Even the most robust physique could show signs of weariness. Fortunately, after consuming 7 bottles of a stamina-enhancing potion last night, his physical condition had significantly improved. He harbored a vision, a delightful aspiration, if only such potions, or others that could enhance stamina, appeared again in the next system lottery. As long as they could greatly improve his physical prowess, he would push himself to the limit. First visiting the Queen S-Bar to find Zhou Zhuqing and Qiu Jiu, then returning home to seek out the Crimson Mandala and Su Xiao, followed by the Bai sisters, and finally Lin Yuchu and Mu Yuyan. This was not a one-time affair, but rather a cyclical endeavor. Whether or not he gained an advantage mattered little. What was crucial was the rapid accumulation of villainous destiny points. Even if it meant enduring some discomfort or fatigue, it was a necessary sacrifice. When minor ailments arose, he would promptly consume potions to elevate his stamina, purging impurities in an instant. What was this? A stroke of genius, or perhaps a way to exploit the system. If this could yield hundreds of thousands in villainous destiny points, wouldn't that be an extraordinary profit? "Young master, shall we head to the Bai family next?" Junzi glanced back, inquiring innocently. Qin Lang frowned, returning to the villa. "What business do I have with the Bai family? I have my own plans. Let us not disturb them today." "What nonsense are you concocting in that head of yours? Are you attempting to decipher my intentions?" Junzi scratched his head sheepishly. "Didn't we just leave President Mu's residence? I saw you smiling so, enthusiastically, and thought you might be going to rekindle old flames with the Bai family's young lady. Do you think I'm like you? Whiling away the day with such unhealthy thoughts. Just drive." He kicked the back of the driver's seat and, after a torrent of curses, suspiciously inquired about the situation in Yanjing regarding the Luo family's affairs in Tianyu City. "Has a solution been conceived?" Junzi replied earnestly, "Young master, the family is not in a position to intervene in this matter. As you know, the Qin family hold a significant status in Yanjing and would never stoop to such underhanded tactics. It seems necessary for you to personally address this issue. Moreover, the eldest daughter of the Luo family has little time left. It would be illogical for you to marry a dying person, even if it were merely for appearances, as it would tarnish your reputation." "Who is Qin Lang?" He is the legitimate heir of the Qin family in Yinjing. To put it bluntly, should any misfortune befall Qin Lang, the entire Qin lineage would face extinction. There are no other viable alternatives. Even if he survives, his age renders him unsuitable for the current circumstances, lacking any comparable merit. Within the Qin family, Qin Lang is unparalleled. Whichever path he chooses to inherit, he will receive unwavering support. Additionally, as collateral branches of the family gradually align themselves with the destined path laid out for them, they will become Qin Lang's staunch allies, contributing to his cause. Much like the metabolism of cells, the passing of the elder generation inevitably gives rise to the emergence of new blood, forming a network of veins and organizing a completely new entity. Qin Lang stands as the brain, the sole commander issuing directives. Whether in the limelight or in the shadows, he remains unparalleled. How could the Qin family possibly tolerate any blemish concerning Qin Lang's engagement? Junzi continued, explaining that the family's reasoning is that the Luo family has exploited the engagement for various advantages, intentionally extracting benefits that are unjust. These rumors have spread through numerous channels, casting a shadow over the Luo family. By using this as a pretext, young master could conveniently dissolve the engagement. He elaborated on the sentiments from Yinjing, feeling an immense gratitude towards the young master. The reason is simple. Given his previous status, he would have never had access to such sensitive information. His duty was solely to ensure the young master's safety. Yet now, due to the young master's connection with Yinjing, he has gained the family's attention, entrusted with conveying matters of great import regarding the family's honor. It is evident that in the eyes of the Qin family, he has become one of their own. What an honor it is to be associated with the Qin family. Junzi understood this better than anyone else. This distinction is bestowed upon him by the young master. Let us first return to the villa to address some matters, then proceed directly to Tianyu City, Qin Lang instructed calmly. An hour later, the Maybach came to a steady halt in front of the villa. Upon returning home, Qin Lang settled onto the sofa in the living room, patiently awaiting Junzi's arrival after parking the car. He subtly gestured towards the 3 vials of elixirs on the table, saying, "Take these 3 vials of physique-enhancing potions. Consuming them will elevate your strength by nearly a third." Junzi had indeed benefited from the young master's kindness. In terms of physical condition, it has evolved from a mere 70 or 80 points to surpass the 100-point threshold, yet it remains only that. He is now fully capable of enhancing Junzi's physique to 500 points, with ample potions available in the system's inventory. However, a significant elevation in physical attributes is not devoid of drawbacks. Caution is warranted, and such physique-enhancing potions are not easily assimilated. The 3 vials at hand will require Junzi a full day to fully utilize. Moreover, those small physique pills, which you have previously ingested, should be considered. In your prolonged interaction with that group at Lao Huang's, you can discern who is genuinely devoted and who is merely seeking shortcuts. It is imperative to expel those who ought to be dismissed and retain those worthy of preservation. Take these small physique pills and administer them to elevate their capabilities. They are high-tech products, so do not carelessly distribute them to the opportunists. Do not waste them. Understood, young master. Junzi, accustomed to such high-tech products, would certainly keep this information confidential. He grinned as he collected these valuable items and departed to attend to his tasks. Observing Junzi's retreating figure, Qin Lang inhaled deeply. The strength of his subordinates indeed pales in comparison to his current prowess. It is time for an elevation. This is a gradual process, a cyclical progression that cannot be rushed, lest it invites unnecessary troubles. He retrieved his phone and dialed the number for Blood Red Mandala. There were still matters he needed to convey, as well as assisting in enhancing her strength. Among all, he felt most assured in elevating Blood Red Mandala's abilities. Not only because her heart is wholly devoted to him, but also due to his genuine expertise in managing her. "Hubby, you have a call. Hubby, you have a call." The ringtone resonated from upstairs. Qin Lang raised an eyebrow. What a surprise. Has Blood Red Mandala concealed herself within his home? Ever since she had been subdued by him, her presence was devoid of any murderous intent, and even her sense of danger seemed dulled. Had he inadvertently allowed her to slip through a gap? The call was not terminated. Instead, it connected. On the other end, Blood Red Mandala, situated upstairs, sounded feeble and breathless. "I'm injured. I might not last." Chapter 250. The Millennium Tianshan, Snow Lotus. Qin Lang's expression darkened as he ascended the stairs. He could hear a faint voice emanating from his bedroom. Upon entering, he found Blood Red Mandala collapsed before the bed, one hand resting atop it, weakly clutching her phone. As she heard the door creak open, She slowly turned her head to reveal a pallid face, drained of color. Injured. Severely injured. Qin Lang, possessing divine medical skills, crouched down to take her pulse. But as time passed, his countenance grew increasingly grim. He retrieved a box of silver needles from the system's inventory, deftly manipulating the needles to seamlessly penetrate various acupoints across blood-red Mandala's body. In this process, Qin Lang naturally shed some obstructive garments. In less than half an hour, the blood-colored Mandala appeared as if transformed into a hedgehog, her body adorned with nearly 100 slender silver needles, still quivering faintly. What has transpired? How could you be so grievously injured? Even as Qin Lang tended to the blood-colored Mandala, beads of sweat formed on his brow. The majority of his meridians were in a state of near destruction, with only a breath of life hanging by a thread. Had he not encountered her, it is likely he would not have survived 3 days, and perhaps would have succumbed that very day. The blood-colored Mandala was unaware of the origins of Qin Lang's medical knowledge, yet she felt her breath becoming markedly easier, her speech more fluid. Perhaps it was a flicker of revival, or perhaps his methods were indeed effective. She was acutely aware of her dire condition and, without hesitation, candidly declared, "The first reincarnation on the assassin's list seeks to kill you. When I arrived today, I sensed something amiss and discovered the presence of the first reincarnation lurking around the villa. Others might remain oblivious, but in the assassin's world, such behavior undeniably indicates surveillance." A prelude to striking. Furrowing his brow, Qin Lang questioned, "So you sought her out?" He was not ignorant of the reincarnation's movements. Even without a follower, he could ascertain that the reincarnation was in Tianhai City. However, he had not concerned himself, believing that the reincarnation would not resort to such underhanded tactics, nor would she threaten those around him. Thus, he chose to turn a blind eye. If they were to cross paths, he held no fear, for his heightened crisis perception allowed him to sense the lurking presence of reincarnation nearby. Yet, who could have anticipated that the blood-colored Mandala would provoke trouble? Knowing that the reincarnation is the top assassin, do you not realize her prowess far surpasses yours? Why seek her out? Let her roam nearby. Let her surveil. Why must you inflict such grievous harm upon yourself? As a leading figure on the assassin's list, the blood-colored Mandala possessed a proud professional ethos, constantly aspiring to ascend to the pinnacle of the assassin's hierarchy. She was acutely aware of the reincarnation's strength and understood that in a life-and-death struggle, she would undoubtedly be the one to perish. Why engage in such a foolish act akin to a moth drawn to a flame? With a forlorn smile, the blood-colored Mandala confessed, "It is precisely because I am aware of the reincarnation's terror that I find myself unable to maintain composure. If she were inferior to me, I would merely warn you. Yet, I am all too conscious of the reincarnation's formidable might. Although I narrowly escaped death this time, the reincarnation did not emerge unscathed. She has at least suffered 2 wounds from my dagger. It is indeed perplexing to observe the blood-colored Mandala in such a grievously injured state." Speaking with a tone that reveals uncertainty about the number of times her opponent was struck, rendering the situation absurdly tragic. "You should return to Yanjing. This place is no longer safe. The cycle has encountered obstacles this time, and it is unlikely to return in the near future. Seizing this opportunity to depart from Tianhai City and head to Yanjing is prudent. Even for an assassin like Luan Hui, reckless behavior is not an option." Blood-red Mandala never envisioned herself capable of slaying Luan Hui. She merely fought with the last vestiges of her strength to compel him to leave. In the realm of assassins, when one faces setbacks, it is a customary rule that there will be no further actions in the short term. She contemplated sacrificing herself to create an opportunity for Qin Lang to escape Tianhai City. Qin Lang, deftly manipulating the silver needles, raised his gaze to meet the tender eyes of blood-red Mandala, questioning her intentions. "What do you mean? Are you making arrangements for after your departure? Have you completed your mission and intend to extricate yourself?" Blood-red Mandala pressed her lips together, replying, "I have promised that if you assist in eliminating Chun Pingyan and his master, I shall regard you as my lord, protect you, and offer my life in your service. This is my duty and the utmost I can do at present." With his head bowed, Qin Lang withdrew the silver needles one by one, altering the acupoints where they were inserted, and calmly stated, "So after this, we shall own nothing to each other, and neither of us shall need to cling to the other in the future?" Indeed, blood-red Mandala nodded, suppressing the turmoil in her heart. She alone understood the severity of her injuries. Her meridians were largely destroyed, her vital energy unable to coalesce, leaving her with but a single breath. Though the silver needles had temporarily gathered her energy, it was merely a stopgap measure that could not sustain her for long. Rather than leaving Qin Lang with lingering attachments, It would be better to sever all ties cleanly. One brings nothing into life, nor takes anything away in death. She resolved to endure the pain alone. Very well. Qin Lang chose not to expose her thoughts, leaving the bedroom only to return after a brief interval. In that fleeting moment, blood-red Mandala wrestled with her inner anguish. She grasped Qin Lang's wrist, her voice barely above a whisper. Let us continue the acupuncture for a while longer. Perhaps there is still a chance for recovery. I find it quite soothing when the needles pierce. As her life waned, she could not bear the thought of Qin Lang leaving her in these final moments. She wished to remain quietly by his side, gazing at his face, departing peacefully. Open your mouth, Qin Lang spoke calmly. Blood-red Mandala, though perplexed, complied and parted her lips. He delicately placed a pink petal within her mouth, releasing a rich fragrance that filled the room. Without further explanation, he retrieved an ancient Tianshan snow lotus, and, one after another, fed her petals imbued with potent medicinal properties. This 1,000-year-old Tianshan snow lotus was renowned in legend as a miraculous healing remedy. And being a product of the system, it was of exceptional quality. Its efficacy was extraordinarily potent. Otherwise, given blood-red Mandala's current injuries, even Qin Lang would find it challenging to achieve a complete cure without external aid. Chapter 251. The killing intent. Blood-red Mandala deliberately subdued her emotions, pondering the significance of these actions. If Qin Lang cannot perceive this, he might as well seek out a block of tofu to end his life. Let us not forget how he transformed the blood Mandala, which sought every conceivable method to assassinate him, into its current state. He possesses an acute awareness of the subtle workings of the heart. Yet, despite this, upon witnessing and hearing everything firsthand, an inexplicable warmth envelopes him. Are we not all human, capable of emotions? Indeed, he is a villain. He may ruthlessly torment the destined son of heaven, employing all manner of nefarious tactics. However, when faced with the daughter of destiny who has wholly devoted herself to him, he engages in a most unprofitable transaction. What is the worth of a millennium-old Tianshan snow lotus? If calculated in terms of lottery odds, it is undoubtedly the most precious of items. Yet now, it has become mere sustenance for the blood Mandala. What is its flavor? Qin Lang produces a beauty pill and consumes it himself, capable of mending certain faint injuries within the body and ensuring that superficial wounds leave no scars. The taste is indescribable, as I have never sampled such flora. The blood Mandala, with a hint of suspicion, opens her mouth like a cat awaiting its meal. Qin Lang feeds her, and she eagerly consumes it. Whether it be a flower or a herb, or perhaps a sweet little candy, it matters not. As time passes and several petals are ingested, the blood Mandala begins to sense something peculiar. A warm sensation emanates from her abdomen, a gentle current flowing through her body, spreading towards her limbs and bones. Additionally, due to the numerous silver needles Qin Lang had previously inserted into her, they act as guiding markers, directing the warmth to gather at their locations, amplifying the soothing sensation. Hiss! The blood Mandala squints her beautiful eyes, inhaling sharply, contributing faintly to global warming. This feeling is exquisite. Every cell in her body accelerates its metabolism, rejuvenating her entirely. What have you fed me? Why do I feel my injuries healing at such an astonishing pace? The blood Mandala is astonished, unaware that the Tianshan snow lotus possesses potent effects, albeit over an extended duration. However, with Qin Lang's stimulation through the silver needles, the speed has been magnified countless times, resulting in this overwhelming sensation. A millennium-old Tianshan snow lotus. Come, open your mouth and chew this stem as if it were sugarcane. Do not spit it out. Swallow it whole. Qin Lang offers the root of the snow lotus. The blood Mandala desires to speak, yet her mouth is obstructed, leaving her to nibble at the stem like a hamster, slowly digesting it. This process endures for quite some time, her hands incapable of rising, relying solely on the strength of her chin and lips. If not for her prior training, a normal person would have surely faltered after only a few bites. Gulp! After swallowing the last root of the Tianshan snow lotus, blood-colored Mandala felt a moment of daze. The Tianshan snow lotus? Is it truly the miraculous healing elixir spoken of on television? TSK. Qin Lang clicked his tongue, continuing to manipulate the silver needles with an air of disdain. Look at your exaggerated reaction, as if you learned it from the television. Do you know what this is called? This is called disparity. This is the chasm between you and the top assassin of the leaderboard. Although the reincarnation may not have encountered the Tianshan snow lotus, especially one that is a millennium old, Had she seen it, she would have been ecstatic, realizing she had discovered a treasure, rather than wearing that clueless expression of yours. Ah, this is the essence of heritage and depth. If you persist in your former way of life, you will likely never entangle with reincarnation again. The gap between you will only widen. The first assassin on the leaderboard will forever remain beyond your reach. It is not intended as a deliberate blow, for the truth stands evident. The legacies of reincarnation and blood-color mandala are simply not on the same plane. One is forged through intense, devilish training, while the other is immersed in a martial system that surpasses human limits. I indeed fall short of her. Blood-colored mandala's voice fell, clearly indicating that this encounter had left her with profound psychological scars. Qinlang scoffed. Just because you cannot measure up now does not mean you will always be at a disadvantage. Where has that fierce spirit of competition gone? You dared to attempt an assassination on me, yet you tremble at the thought of a mere reincarnation? Today, the humiliation she inflicted upon you shall be repaid in kind in the future. Do you lack even this modicum of courage? Reincarnation possesses a background and legacy, yet you are not inferior to her. You have me backing you. Dominant, arrogant, unyielding. What the daughter of fortune. What of engaging with the high martial world? I am a villain. The women beside me must also exude confidence. Is it not merely about being the first on the assassin leaderboard? Allow blood-colored mandala to enhance her strength, and then eliminate reincarnation. The title of the first assassin would change hands. These 10 vials of fortifying potions, consume them first. Your injuries, along with the damaged meridians, have already improved significantly. Drink without fear, it will not be wasted. Qinlang was far from stingy. This was not merely a test for him, and it is uncertain whether to deem blood-colored mandala fortunate or unfortunate. Nearly beaten to death by reincarnation. Yet at the same time, it allowed him to genuinely set aside all grudges and assist her in elevating her power. 10 vials of fortifying potions would likely cause an ordinary person to burst if consumed within a short span, which is why he had refrained from providing such quantities to Junzi. However, blood-colored mandala was different. She had just recovered from severe injuries, and her body still retained a significant amount of the Tianshan Snow Lotus's medicinal effects. A true healing elixir that would counteract the negative impacts of the sudden increase in vitality. Thud, thud, thud. Blood-colored mandala accepted the potions and, after opening them, began to pour them down her throat one by one. She understood the immense value of these potions and the Tianshan Snow Lotus, yet she exhibited no hesitation, fully complying with Qinlang's instructions. Weak. She was still far too weak. She had never experienced a moment as fervently yearning to enhance her strength. After being severely injured in the cycle of reincarnation, this thought faded away with the waning of her life force. However, now that she had a chance to survive, the desire to grow stronger, both to assist Qinlang in the future and to seek vengeance, surged within her. First, she decided to take a bath, to assimilate the changes brought about by the potion. Qinlang, cradling the blood-red mandrake, made his way to the bathroom, placing it in the prepared warm water before stepping out. His gaze became distant, and his thoughts underwent a subtle transformation. He had previously found the repetitive tasks of the 7 senior sisters tedious and overly complicated. Now, it seemed that some individuals were no longer keen on living and were beginning to court disaster. Chapter 252. The 7 scripts officially commence. What on earth is happening tonight? Young master, have you taken some sort of stimulant? Why so ferocious? I've never seen such a commotion before. What makes today so special? That voice. It seems to belong to Miss Chiu. Nearby Qinlang's residence, 2 villas served as the quarters for Junzi and other bodyguards. Typically at this hour, they would be preparing their meals, but now, the anguished cries emanating from the young master's villa prompted murmurs among them. Junzi, with a stern expression, ordered, Lao Zhao, take Huang Mingjue and the others to seal off the main road leading to the young master's villa. No one is permitted to enter or exit for the time being. He issued commands methodically, yet his thoughts diverged. He understood the young master's nature. Although he had a particular fondness for women, he would never engage in behavior that would invite eavesdropping. It was highly probable that Miss Chiu had ingested some pill given by the young master, and her body was now undergoing an unbearable rebirth. He chose not to elaborate, harboring other schemes. Once Lao Zhao and the others departed, he gestured for silence, instructing, shut all the windows. Those who should listen must be attentive, while those who should not, to show some respect. Let us refrain from gossiping behind closed doors. Lao Huang and his team hurried to close the doors and windows that could transmit sound. The act of eavesdropping on the young master felt unsettling, instilling a sense of dread. What is this peculiar object? It's pitch black. As the noise was muffled, Lao Huang and the others returned, gathering around to scrutinize the dozens of small, dark pills that Junzi revealed. With a knowing scoff, he remarked, "Do you understand why my strength has surged so rapidly of late? Don't even mention it. Even if that fellow Yi Feng, whom we encountered previously, were still alive, in a real fight, I would undoubtedly surpass him." This was a confidence that emanated from deep within. Junzi was acutely aware of the caliber of his newfound prowess. Compared to his old comrades, he could draw clear conclusions. Previously, facing 3 or 5 opponents would have posed a challenge, but now, even if the remaining individuals in the room charged at him, he would harbor no fear whatsoever. Why the incessant murmuring? What on earth is this? Could it be that your strength has surged due to this peculiar substance? Is it truly the legendary elixir? Junzi scoffed, deeming it not exactly a miraculous potion, yet not far from it either. Upon ingestion, it could purge the impurities from your body, significantly enhancing your physical condition and reflexes, thereby naturally augmenting your combat prowess. The pills here are intended for you. Your recent performances have not gone unnoticed by the young master, and you shall not be deprived of rewards. In addition to your regular wages and bonuses, these serve as special benefits. Old Huang was astonished. What, really? Such a pill exists to enhance strength? Could it possibly be related to those gene warriors abroad? Are there any side effects? Like not living past 40? My wife is still young. I don't want to earn a fortune only to kick the bucket before I can enjoy it, leaving her with my hard-earned money to spend on some young gigolo. Junzi, don't be angry. I think old Huang's suspicions hold some merit. We shouldn't gamble our health for money, should we? Me too. Observing his old comrades, who were both intrigued and skeptical, Junzi felt a mix of amusement and exasperation. Rest assured, as of now, I have not experienced any side effects, and I have taken these pills myself. Otherwise, do you think the young master would possess such remarkable skills? Really? Then it's settled. I shall pocket them all. He feigned an attempt to seize all the pills, but old Huang and the others were quick to react, rushing to shield the pills, grinning at Junzi. Since this is the young master's intention, we shan't be impolite, shall we? We accept. Why hesitate? The young master is no ordinary person. How could he consume something with side effects that shorten lifespan? He is the future heir of the Qin family. Such a prized possession is undoubtedly a state-level secret, with guaranteed efficacy, especially with the young master as a touchstone. Only a fool would refuse. In no time, old Huang and his group of bodyguards swiftly divided the pills among themselves. Following Junzi's suggestion, they retreated to a larger room upstairs. 2 hours passed quickly. After receiving Junzi's reminder, bodyguard Zhao and a few younger brothers lifted the blockade on the main road and returned to the villa, just as they sighed in relief. Thankful not to hear any cries of agony from the young master's residence, they were met with a cacophony of anguished howls emanating from the conference room. Old Huang and the others were wailing, cursing vehemently. "Junzi, you son of a dog. I never imagined you would turn out to be this kind of person. Heartless. We are your old comrades, and you dare deceive us? Beasts. You are no human." The agonizing screams echoed throughout the villa's living room. Zhao and the others exchanged bewildered glances, utterly perplexed. What on earth is happening? As they stepped outside, what had transpired with Lao Huang and the others? The door upstairs creaked open, revealing Junzi, bare-chested and glistening with beads of perspiration. He wiped the sweat from his brow and descended the stairs, casting a casual glance at Lao, Zhao, and the others. With an impassive demeanor, he remarked, "You're back? Lao Zhao not dead? Inquing. What happened to Lao Huang and the others up there?" Junzi sipped his tea, crossing his legs nonchalantly. "Don't ask what you shouldn't. Take a moment to rest. The pain will subside." Lao Huang and his companions had already undergone his assessment and were deemed fit to continue in their roles. As for you, do not think I am devoid of generosity. Tonight, my door will remain unlocked. Make your move. With that, Junzi directed Lao Zhao and the others back to their tasks, ensuring they had no interaction with Lao Huang. The assessment was genuine, but the results had been discerned through careful observation over time. He provided Lao Huang and the others with a small medicinal pill, a reward for having passed. However, there was substantial suspicion surrounding Lao Zhao and his group. While they were lackluster in their duties, they were always the first to indulge in leisure. What purpose would it serve to keep such individuals? This misunderstanding served as a lesson. True men would not dare to intrude upon his quarters in the dead of night. Should they fail to appear, he would have just cause to dismiss them. He diligently executed the directives entrusted to him, bestowing benefits and accolades upon his master, while leaving the burden of any grievances for himself to bear. Meanwhile, within the villa, the blood mandala, having undergone the transformative ordeal of the physique enhancement agent, had finally endured the excruciating pain. Doubling her physical capabilities was akin to a rebirth, a process of dismantling and reconstructing her very bones and meridians. Even the blood mandala, seasoned by rigorous training, could not suppress her anguished cries during this torment. Yet, post-suffering, she bore no resentment towards Qin, fueled not only by affection but also by a profound awareness of the immense transformation within her body. It felt as if she had experienced a remarkable surge in strength within mere moments. I believe that should I encounter the cycle again, even from the shadows, I could easily vanquish it. The blood mandala clenched her fists, her visage alight with exhilaration. The intoxicating rush of newfound power was overwhelming, akin to a rebirth. She envisioned herself capable of shattering a mammoth from antiquity with a single blow. Yet, such pride must be tempered. This rapid ascension in strength could easily lead to a misjudgment of one's abilities. Let me be clear, even in your current state, should you cross paths with the cycle, you would face certain demise. Qin stroked his chin, pondering for a moment. Let us put it this way. If we were to equate your previous combat strength to 100 after consuming 10 bottles of physical enhancement potions, you have approximately reached 200. However, the combat power of the cycle is nearly 350, and that is merely its surface strength. With the addition of some lethal techniques, even a master with 400 combat strength could be vanquished. Do you understand? Is the cycle truly that formidable? Blood-red Mandala harbored doubts. Compared to Qin verbal assertions, she placed greater faith in her instincts. If a killer like her could not trust her intuition, it would signify the end of her journey in this profession. Qin was not surprised, for this was a first for blood-red Mandala, a direct doubling of her physical capabilities. Such a leap in level is ordinarily unattainable. Had it not been for the protective efficacy of the Tian Shan Snow Lotus, she would likely have perished under the torment of such a dramatic physical increase. It was not unexpected for her to have such misconceptions. Do you believe that you can not only defeat the cycle, but even me? Qin observed blood-red Mandala with keen interest, a teasing smile playing on his lips. Blood-red Mandala gazed at him intently for a long while, her expression grave and earnest. Without a moment's hesitation, she transformed into a fleeting shadow, vanishing from sight and lunging towards Qin throat. The throat is one of the most vulnerable areas of the human body, the perfect target for an assassin. However, her intention was not to kill Qin. She merely sought to demonstrate the magnitude of her newfound strength and would refrain from inflicting harm. She could not bear to injure the man before her, for it would only bring her pain. Yet, as she neared Qin, her hand was seized by a powerful grip before it could even breach an inch of his throat. Such audacity! It appears that even with enhanced speed, you remain slow in my eyes. Allow me to show you what true strength entails. Qin swiftly subdued blood-red Mandala, pinning her against the wall with a cold snort. Oof! Blood-red Mandala averted her gaze, refusing to look at him, inwardly scoffing at his trivial machinations. I want to continue this. Let you have your way. It seems you are still somewhat unconvinced. Qin was amused by blood-red Mandala's reaction. His demeanor shifted to one of authority, exuding an aura of dominance. Ding! Congratulations. Host, you have acquired 1,000 villain points. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have acquired 10,002 villain points. No, I want to fight anymore. I concede. Blood-red Mandala was flustered, and at that moment, the cognitive dissonance brought on by her sudden surge of power was finally shattered. She felt her helplessness and insignificance before Qin. She could not stir a single wave. Even the strength of the cycle that Qin spoke of was now fully acknowledged by her. Not fighting? Are you jesting with me? Previously, you asserted that from this moment onward, there would be no further entanglements. I cannot simply let you go like that. I must seize this final opportunity to reclaim all my interests. Qin scoffed, pondering how much of his destiny as a villain had been spent on the blood-red Mandala. Surely, he must have some awareness of where his investments lay and where he could recoup his losses. He would engage in no transactions that would yield a deficit. As the night deepened, the blood-red Mandala leaned wearily against Qin, stating that given the current circumstances, she was not yet a match for reincarnation, urging him to return to Yinjing sooner, for it was unsafe here. Qin, feigning jest, replied, "You are about to leave, severing all ties with me. Why worry about such matters? Even if I were to be eliminated by reincarnation, it would be of no concern to you, would it? Did I ever utter such words?" The blood-red mandala lifted her gaze, her large, glistening eyes blinking innocently. You must have misheard. Playing coy? Qin Lang teased, lightly pinching the tip of her nose. The blood-red mandala let out a soft hum, offering no reply. With her injuries healed, why would she leave? Only a fool would depart. Do not underestimate the terror of reincarnation. The top assassin's ranking is not merely a title, she cautioned earnestly. Nevertheless, Qin Lang remained indifferent, casually poking at her eyes in a playful manner, dismissing her concerns. The previous top assassin would soon be displaced, and he intended for the blood-red mandala, an authentic assassin, to address matters within the assassin community. When the time came, the woman in his embrace would no longer be the third-ranked assassin, but the true leader of the assassin realm. Anyone who dared to touch his woman, be they from reincarnation or elsewhere, would pay a price. As for Luo Qingyu, that issue also required resolution. Otherwise, should reincarnation join forces with her, his actions would be severely constrained. Suddenly, as Qin Lang contemplated these matters, he inhaled deeply, casting a lingering gaze at the blood-red mandala, marveling at her understanding and compassion. Chapter 253. The arrival at the Luo family in Tianyu City. At the old residence of the Luo family, the atmosphere was bustling. Countless wealthy merchants flocked to the estate, all seeking to dissolve contracts, willing to incur hefty penalties if necessary. Prior to this, rumors had circulated that the Luo family was to form a marital alliance with the formidable Qin family from Yanjing. What an honor this would be, one they could scarcely hope to attain in 8 lifetimes. Many lacked even the audacity to gaze upon the Qin family's prowess. Yet they sought to seize this opportunity to cling to the Luo family before it ascended, aspiring to entwine themselves with an entity as significant as the Qin family. Alas, the pleasant times were fleeting. They had barely begun to revel when whispers of disquiet began to circulate. Rumors suggested that the esteemed daughter of the Luo family, Luo Qingyu, was gravely ill, with her life hanging by a thread. Furthermore, it was said that the Luo family initially intended to conceal the incident, but the influence of the Qin family had compelled the matter into the light. Discontent brewed within the Qin family regarding their intentions to ally through marriage with the Luo family, and they were contemplating a withdrawal from the engagement. Of course, some claimed that the Qin family was exhaustively seeking remedies for Luo Qingyu, yet to no avail. The multitude of rumors was both abundant and convoluted, but one truth remained. Luo Qingyu's life was in jeopardy, and her connection to the Qin family was seemingly reaching its conclusion. What stature did the Qin family possess? How could they permit their sole heir to be burdened with the specter of a deceased fiancé? Behold, a convoy approaches, a fleet of sleek Maybachs, armored no less. Is this not the very entourage of the Qin family's young master, as the tales foretold? A gathering of magnates gazed in horror at the procession of vehicles drawing near. Were these cars expensive? Naturally, they were exorbitant, unattainable for the average person. Yet for these affluent businessmen, they were not insurmountable. However, it was the occupants within the Maybachs that imbued the entire convoy with an air of sanctity and solemnity. As the procession drew nearer, all held their breaths in anticipation. A young man emerged first, striding confidently to the rear door, which he opened to reveal a slender figure clad in a black suit. He exuded an aura of refined elegance, every gesture imbued with an unapproachable nobility that stirred admiration in the eyes of the wives of the magnates present. This was a true titan of industry. If only they had ensnared a man of such caliber, they would surely ascend to greatness. Casting a glance at their own husbands, who were merely affluent yet unremarkable, they felt a pang of discontent. Even the so-called promising young talents, those newly minted tycoons in their 30s, paled in comparison to the young master of the Qin family. Utterly eclipsed, Qin Lang remained silent, his gaze unwavering, as he strode deliberately through the gates of the Luo family estate. His pace was measured, each step resonating with composure, taking nearly 2 minutes to traverse the distance from the Maybachs to the entrance. Had it been anyone else, a throng of wealthy businessmen would have rushed forward to establish familiarity or ingratiate themselves. Yet, the stark disparity in status rendered them hesitant. No one dared to interrupt his passage. Only after his silhouette vanished did anyone approach, not to seek out Qin Lang, but to inquire about his bodyguard. Brother, that was indeed young Master Qin, was it not? A newcomer, a young tycoon from a year prior, asked with an awkward smile as he approached the bodyguard. The bodyguard nodded with quiet dignity. Indeed. Is there something you require? The status of bodyguards has always been rather lowly, often seen as individuals risking their lives for meager earnings. In the eyes of some business tycoons, bodyguards may not even possess the qualification to engage in conversation, unworthy of even a glance, valued only for their potential to sacrifice themselves. Yet now, observing the sycophantic new money in front of him, Junzi feels a wave of contemplation. Being a bodyguard, after all, depends on whom one serves. The bodyguards under the young master, even if they're the newly affluent of Tianyu City, even if they are among those who have graced television interviews as future magnates, must still remain respectful and courteous. The key is that he need not overly cater to their feelings. A simple, unpretentious demeanor suffices. Excessive courtesy might inadvertently belittle the young master's stature. The new business elite marvel at Qin Shao, indeed a paragon of elegance, possessing grace and youthful ambition, reminiscent of the renowned Panin. Junzi naturally accepts these flattery on behalf of the young master and coolly states, "Please step aside. You are obstructing my path." He deliberately walks behind the young master, awaiting their inquiries. They have yet to broach the main topic. How much time must be squandered if they continue to beat around the bush? "Brother, please don't rush. We have a small matter we wish to discuss with you. What brings Qin Shao to the Luo family this time?" There are rumors suggesting that he is here to call off an engagement. Is Luo Qingshu unwell? With one business elite leading the charge, a throng of wealthy individuals from Tianyu City converges, cornering Junzi with a cacophony of questions. "Brother, since it's Qin Shao's first visit to Tianyu City, he must be unfamiliar with the area and likely has no place to stay. Lodging in a hotel would be quite inconvenient. My home has guest rooms. Perhaps after Qin Shao finishes his matters, he could rest at my place for the night? How could Qin Shao miss the beautiful sights of Tianyu City? I am but a humble individual in the tourism industry here. Should Qin Shao wish to extend his stay, I implore you to speak favorably of me in his presence. Brother, let us exchange contact information, shall we?" A multitude of prominent figures from Tianyu City clamors, pushing and shoving, each vying for attention. Some, realizing they cannot compete in conversation, directly demand contact details. The scene resembles a scripted drama, the antics far more elaborate than anything portrayed on screen. They might as well have asked him for his credit card number. I cannot divulge the young master's affairs, but some information is indeed not without basis. Junzi hesitates, uttering only this before gently pushing his way through, parting the crowd. Those on the periphery, upon being pushed away, stumble, nearly losing their balance. Yet these affluent individuals, who would even crack an egg with their own hands, show no resistance. Instead, they exchange glances, secretly giving a thumbs up. Look, this is Qin Shao's bodyguard. Such skill. To push through a dozen people effortlessly is not something an ordinary bodyguard could achieve. Of course, how could Qin Shao's bodyguard be an ordinary person? Although the elder brother may not have articulated his thoughts completely, it appears that what we yearn to comprehend has already been subtly indicated. Chapter 254. Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian. What status does young Master Qin hold? Could his bodyguard possibly be an ordinary individual? How could he articulate his thoughts so clearly and understandably? Such a straightforward statement almost serves as a direct revelation that the rumors are credible. Something has indeed transpired with Luo Qingyu of the Luo family, leading to speculations about young Master Qin's visit. The demeanor of the bodyguard suggests a palpable dissatisfaction with the Luo family. Indeed, the Qin family, an immense entity with wealth far removed from the mundane world, would never permit the Luo family to exploit their name for profit. Terminating the contract has become imperative. A collective glance among the tycoons of Tianyu City led to a unanimous decision. Meanwhile, in a secluded courtyard of the Luo family's ancestral home, a quaint little garden, adorned with an array of flowers and plants, exudes a subtle fragrance that wafts through the air, refreshing the spirit of anyone who pauses to take it in. In the courtyard, a woman clad in a flowing green dress tends to a small stove that emits a robust scent of traditional herbal medicine while listening to the musings of her caretaker. Suddenly, her expression brightens. "I understand the situation now. You should continue your observations," she instructs, gesturing with her hand. She carefully scoops a steaming bowl of herbal concoction into a ceramic dish and strides towards the inner room. As she approaches, a series of urgent, harsh coughs emanates from within. "Senior sister, you should be resting. Why are you moving about? Do you think my treatment is too simplistic, and you wish to impose unnecessary challenges?" Ning Qianqian promptly places the herbal remedy on the bedside table, assisting Luo Qingyu, who attempts to rise, to lean back against the headboard. Luo Qingyu's complexion is as pale as wax paper, yet her beauty, akin to a figure stepping out of an exquisite painting, remains undiminished. adding a touch of poignant melancholy that stirs a desire in others to embrace and cherish her. Qianqian, you need not squander your time and those precious herbs. I am well aware of my own condition. It is likely that my time is limited, Luo Qingyu states, her face devoid of alarm, exhibiting an extraordinary calm as if she has long since come to terms with life and death. Among her peers, she holds the highest rank, having become accustomed to caring for her younger disciples like an elder sister. Yet now, being tended to by her junior sister feels somewhat disconcerting. Moreover, is she not acutely aware of the fragility of her own health? It merely amounts to a waste of precious resources and time, delaying the inevitable. Senior sister, did I not tell you? It is not necessarily fatal. There is a possibility of survival. Do you not wish to seek revenge? Ning Qianqian shows no signs of surrender, striving to bolster her senior's spirits and instill a fervent desire to live. And do you know? Your fiancé, the young master of the Qin family from Yanjing, has already arrived at the Luo family. It is said that the purpose of their visit is to annul the engagement, and outside, a multitude of fickle onlookers gather, eager to distance themselves from the Luo family. These individuals are utterly despicable. After all, it was the people from Yanjing who initially approached the Luo family, seeking to forge a marriage alliance with you, my esteemed senior. Yet now, when calamity befalls you, they merely extend a perfunctory greeting, swiftly disseminating the news, and even sending that insufferable scion of the Qin family to retract the engagement. How revolting! In such trying times, one should denigrate the Qin family as much as possible to incite my senior's wrath. Only through hatred can she be stirred, reigniting her will to live. Is he here? Luo Qingyu mused softly, a smile gracing her lips as if it were a natural occurrence. Senior, what do you mean? Aren't you angry? You seem so composed. Ning Qianqian exclaimed, astonished. Luo Qingyu smiled gently, resembling a blooming water lily. Her face, though pale, radiated a soft, warm glow. It is but human nature. I have never truly been acquainted with that scion of the Qin family, nor did I ever intend to entangle myself with him. These decisions were made without my knowledge by our family. Moreover, the Luo family has exploited the Qin family's reputation to maliciously amass wealth, which has already crossed the Qin family's bottom line. Their forbearance in not retaliating is, in itself, a form of grace. It is fortuitous that we can settle these matters cleanly. Otherwise, should I depart, the wealth amassed by the Luo family could become a spark, igniting the suppressed fury of these affluent individuals and bringing about our ruin. They dare. Who would dare to harm the Luo family? I, Ning Qianqian, shall ensure their utter destruction. Ning Qianqian's beautiful eyes widened, her words laced with fury. Luo Qingyu slowly reached out, suppressing her discomfort, and caressed Ning Qianqian's smooth cheek. Qianqian, you have treated your senior well. I am acutely aware of who genuinely cares for me, as if it were etched in crystal clarity. The so-called family is merely a collective bound by interests. True kinship has grown faint. Without my presence, the Luo family may not face disaster from this opportunity. Conversely, while you may protect the Luo family for the time being, what if 10 years or 20? Would you remain with the Luo family indefinitely? Luo Qingyu displayed remarkable rationality, even as her life approached its twilight, methodically analyzing her situation without losing composure. Did she harbor resentment towards the Qin family? Not in the slightest. She even regarded the entity that had inflicted such grievous harm upon her with a degree of detachment. Senior, how can you be so foolish? If I were in your position, I would have already exploded with rage. Who dares to bully me? I would retaliate with venom, leaving none of their family unscathed. Yet you remain unfazed. I truly cannot fathom what it is you value. Ning Qianqian scolded, her words tinged with frustration. Though she complained, her actions drew her closer, enabling her to gently touch her senior without much effort, an unspoken gesture of care and concern. She bit her lip and said, Senior, if you were to relinquish your powers, perhaps it would increase your chances of survival. Luo Qingyu shook her head, dismissing the thought. After all, it was merely a fleeting hope. Without her current strength, would she be relegated to a mere puppet of the Luo family? Though her demeanor remained composed, she was unwilling to be bound by others at every turn. Such an existence was worse than a clean death. No, I cannot allow you to die. You are far too young for that. Moreover, you are still, well, you know, Ning Qianqian exclaimed, her excitement rendering her somewhat incoherent. Upon hearing this, Luo Qingyu felt a rush of warmth rise to her cheeks, followed by a violent fit of coughing. If it comes to that, I will find an opportunity to incapacitate that young master of the Qin family and bring him to be with you, Ning Qianqian declared, her small fists clenched with serious intent. After all, he is your fiancé. How can a marriage contract be dismissed at will? Chapter 255. The Luo family suffers great loss. Qin Lang revives with a single sentence. Meanwhile, Qin Lang was being led by Luo Xiaowen, the head of the Luo family, into the reception hall. Unbeknownst to him, Ning Qianqian had already set her sights on him, planning to incapacitate him to remedy her senior sister's regrets. Young Master Qin, why have you personally come here? You didn't even give a heads up before your arrival, and I was unable to greet you properly. I truly apologize for the oversight. Luo Xiaowen completely disregarded the wealthy merchants from Tianshu City who had accompanied him, his attention solely on Qin Lang. He positioned himself with utmost humility, devoid of any arrogance stemming from Luo Qingyu's status, thereby adopting the tone of a future uncle. Young Master Qin, please take a seat. Allow me to serve you tea. Luo Xiaowen urged the butler repeatedly, genuinely alarmed. Until the moment Qin Lang's convoy arrived, he had received no hint of what was to come. What did this mean? Had the Qin family grown angry, sending Qin Lang to reprimand the Luo family? Or perhaps Qin Lang intended to publicly announce the dissolution of their engagement in front of the affluent merchants of Tianshu City, while others might be oblivious. As the head of the Luo family, was well aware of the situation surrounding his niece's health, which had been tightly sealed since her return to the Luo residence. He had meticulously managed the household staff to prevent any whispers from escaping. Yet just a few days prior, rumors about the Qin family's intention to break off the engagement had surfaced, accompanied by the delivery of nourishing medicinal supplies from the Qin family. What could this mean? The Qin family loomed over them like a colossus, their influence rendering it impossible to sever all communication with them. He was certain those rumors had originated from the Qin family itself. But what could he do? He dared not utter a word of protest, remaining passive as events unfolded, too fearful to even attempt to refute the rumors. Before long, the butler presented the brewed tea. Luo Xiaowen took the initiative to introduce young Master Qin. Please savor this exquisite Dahong Pao that I have carefully preserved. Though it is but a few grams, it may not be precious, yet it possesses a unique flavor. Qin Lang held the teacup, took a delicate sip, and merely nodded in acknowledgement. He cast a glance at the group of affluent magnates from Tianyu City who had just entered, letting out a light chuckle. Uncle Luo, it seems you have fortuitously arrived today. The Luo family appears quite occupied. Are you perhaps hosting a grand banquet? He initiated the conversation, but chose not to elaborate further. However, upon hearing his words, the wealthy individuals reacted as if they had received a signal. Among them, the leading newcomer to the business world stood tall, first greeting with polite formality before delving straight into the matter at hand. Master Luo, I must apologize for the disturbances caused by my visit. Unfortunately, I have encountered some financial setbacks in my recent ventures, leading to substantial losses. Regrettably, I fear I can no longer fulfill the commitments outlined in our previously signed chain supermarket contract. It was evident that he was brazenly attempting to breach the contract. Yet he refrained from being utterly ruthless, knowing that young Master Qin was still observing from above. Hence he must leave some leeway. Rest assured, Master Luo, regarding the penalty for the breach of contract, I would never dream of defaulting. You need not worry about reminders. Within 3 days, I shall ensure that the penalty is remitted through legal channels to your esteemed company's account. One must ponder how someone who had risen to prominence in the business world could be so short-sighted. The penalty stipulated in the contract was not computed as a multiple of the contract amount, but was a fixed sum amounting to several million. Is that a considerable sum? Indeed it is. Yet, entering into a contract with the Luo family was akin to delivering flesh to their lips, inviting them to feast. Were he to collaborate with another entity, the profits gained would far exceed the millions in penalties. Very well, Luo Xiaowen responded coldly, refraining from any retorts. Sustaining business losses? How absurd. Your chain supermarkets have even expanded overseas, and just recently you were boasting about your ambitions to become the largest and most formidable player in the market. How is it possible that you are now claiming financial woes? It was an oversight on his part not to anticipate this breach. Otherwise, he would have surely stipulated a penalty tenfold. At that moment, clarity dawned upon him. These individuals were evidently keen on distancing themselves from the Luo family's impending decline, eager to reclaim the funds they had previously invested. The newcomer to the business realm was somewhat manageable, as that contract was still in a draft stage and had not been concretely executed, resulting in a mere nominal loss while pocketing the penalty. However, The presence of seasoned magnates trailing behind the young entrepreneur left him feeling somewhat dizzy. Several collaborative projects had already been formally launched, and if they were to withdraw their investments now, it would mean a loss of their initial contributions. What of the Luo family? One project may be inconsequential, but what if it were 10 or even dozens? The cumulative loss from initial investments across multiple projects could render the Luo family significantly crippled. Master Luo, I shall not conceal the purpose of my visit. I am currently facing financial difficulties. The pig farm has been struck by illness, resulting in a litter of sick piglets, and the entire operation is suffering immensely. The prospect of raising pigs is now utterly bleak, perhaps forever beyond my reach. Henceforth, I can only play the role of a chairman in my own company, too fearful to expand further. As for the livestock project agreements signed with your esteemed company, I find myself powerless to fulfill them and must regrettably breach our contracts. Master Luo, regarding the wind power initiatives, I am besieged by wealthy individuals, each eager to withdraw from agreements. Observing this, Luo Xiaowen's lips twitched in disbelief. The plight of the pig farm has no bearing on his livestock basis. You are, after all, the agricultural magnate of Tianyu City, overseeing more than 10 extensive breeding bases, with pig farming comprising less than 10% of your operations. Such a trifling matter has rendered you paralyzed with fear? Moreover, I have heard no recent reports of porcine epidemics. The excuses presented are increasingly tenuous and absurd. These affluent individuals do not linger. They express their intentions and depart, leaving behind discussions of penalties for breach of contract. The new business elite has been the first to vocalize their stance, while the older, more established tycoons remain conspicuously silent regarding compensation. Should the Luo family find themselves without the support of the Qin family, how could they hope to contend with such formidable adversaries? If Luo Xiaowen dares to demand penalties, they would retaliate ruthlessly, without anesthesia, no less. Young Master Qin, I apologize for my predicament. Luo Xiaowen lamented, slumping in his chair, appearing aged by a decade. His attempt to amass wealth has backfired, depleting a significant portion of the Luo family's liquid assets, resulting in a crippling blow. Uncle Luo, not all fortunes are easily acquired, and not all individuals can be manipulated to one's advantage, Qin Lang remarked, his expression placid as he sipped his tea. His casual words served as a pointed reminder. Luo Xiaowen dared not retort, sighing, young Master Qin, the Luo family has learned a valuable lesson this time. We shall not engage in such actions again. He sighed again, recognizing that even Qin Lang had offered such counsel. Henceforth, it would be impossible for them to continue relying on the Qin family's support. The Luo family lacks the allure to entice the affluent of Tianyu City to seek their favor. A lesson learned is not in vain. My visit here was not without purpose. Do not dwell on the penalties. They are not yours to claim. As for the projects already underway, despite the withdrawal of investors, they need not meet their demise. We can discuss the finer details further. Youthful Master Qin, what do you mean by this? Luo Xiaowen looked up, a glimmer of surprise in his eyes. It was not the topic of penalties that shocked him, but rather Qin Lang's mention of further discussions, which left him astounded. Were you not here to annul the engagement? Annul the engagement? Qin Lang feignet astonishment. Who suggested I was here for such a purpose? Uncle Luo, what do you mean by your sudden statement? Do you believe I am unworthy of Miss Luo? No. Luo Xiaowen was taken aback by the sudden surprise. Unable to conceal his astonishment. Hesitatingly, he confessed to Qin Xiao. In truth, there are issues with Qingyu's health. We have sought the expertise of numerous renowned physicians, yet all have been at a loss. It seems she may not have much time left. His expression bore deep sorrow and regret, a sentiment that was genuine, not feigned. After all, Luo Qingyu represented not only a potential alliance with the Qin family for the Luo clan, but also held significance in many other matters. It could be said that Luo Qingyu was not merely the backbone of the Luo family, but also a perennial pillar for its future. As long as she remained, the Luo family would stand firm. Any misstep could lead to catastrophic losses. Uncle Luo, why did you not inform me of this matter beforehand? Were you intentionally concealing it? Do you think I, Qin Lang, would abandon my fiancée simply because she's gravely ill? Qin Lang exclaimed, his frustration palpable. His performance would have left even Oscar judges in awe, eliciting exclamations of disbelief. Is it possible that Qin Xiao truly did not know? Luo Xiaowen pondered, utterly perplexed. Quickly, take me to Miss Luo. Qin Lang Wugit. In the courtyard of Luo Qingyu's residence, Ning Qianqian listened intently to the nanny's account, her expression one of astonishment. Gazing at the better-than Luo Qingyu, She remarked, "Senior sister, do you believe that Qin Lang is genuinely unaware, or is he merely pretending? Is he not here to call off the engagement? It seems absurd. I can hardly believe it." During his last visit, one of the elderly gentlemen, though not as skilled as I, is undoubtedly a titan in the realm of traditional Chinese medicine from Yanjing. He must have seen through your dire condition. Will the Qin family keep your health status from him? Luo Qingyu furrowed her brow. I do not know either. She found herself equally puzzled as to why Qin Lang had come to the Luo family not to break off their engagement, but seemingly to offer assistance. Was he deliberately severing certain financial channels that the Luo family had exploited? What was truly at play here? Or was there some ulterior motive from the Qin family? Someone is coming. Ning Qianqian's delicate ears perked up slightly as she whispered. Luo Qingyu nodded and instructed the nanny, "Please step outside." This nanny had been with her since childhood, possessing some martial skills and keen senses, thus holding a unique position within the Luo household. It was understood by all that no one dared to dismiss her due to her significance in Luo Qingyu's life. Shortly after the nanny's departure, Luo Xiaowen entered the courtyard with Qin Lang. "Qingyu, how is your health?" Luo Xiaowen inquired softly. Lying in bed, Luo Qingyu smiled gently. "Thank you for your concern, uncle." The formalities between uncle and niece did not have the chance to linger before being interrupted by Ning Qianqian, who exclaimed, "So, you are Qin Lang?" Her beautiful eyes widened as she fixed her gaze upon Qin Lang, observing him with keen interest, only to soon adopt a peculiar expression. "This is impossible. It defies logic. Given your status and position, you should be surrounded by women. How is it that you can maintain such a handsome demeanor, brimming with vitality? Even if you have consumed tonics, it is unlikely one could sustain such impeccable vigor, is it?" Ahem. Luo Qingyu lightly coughed, as if to remind herself of her junior disciple's indiscretion, and then addressed Luo Xiaowen. "Uncle, since he has arrived, I shall not disturb you further. I have some matters to discuss privately with young Master Qin." "Very well. Matters of the youth are best resolved by the youth themselves. Qingyu, do not blame your uncle for being verbose. A man like young Master Qin is rare to find in this world. Everyone assumed he came to call off the engagement. Yet he harbors not a single thought of such a thing. We have underestimated him." Qingyu understood. She nodded slightly, and only after Luo Xiaowen had exited did she direct her gaze back to Qin Lang's face. He was exceptionally handsome, exuding the poise of a refined nobleman. Even a woman as composed as Luo Qingyu found her first impression of Qin Lang to be rather favorable, even developing a subtle sense of admiration. This left her feeling quite perplexed. Such an emotion was foreign to her. Even her junior disciple, who had always pursued her, had never elicited such a unique feeling. What she felt for him was merely the affection of a senior for a junior. "Young Master Qin, as you can see, my current condition prevents me from rising to greet you. I beg your pardon for any offense," she said. "Miss Luo, you need not speak so." Qin Lang replied with a wry smile, concealing the astonishment in his eyes. He contained his admiration, yet a fleeting glimpse of it lingered in his gaze. This subtlety was profound. Even if given another decade, Junzi would fail to master it, regardless of a girl's background, be she a female CEO or an ordinary woman, or even a martial arts heir like Luo Qingyu. None would wish to remain oblivious to the admiration reflected in a man's eyes. While Luo Qingyu might feign indifference, Qin Lang could not afford to suppress his expression. Otherwise, how would she understand that his intentions were not purely innocent? "Surely, you have been captivated by my sister's beauty. I did not expect you to possess such depth. Were it not for my keen perception, I might have thought you indifferent." Ning Qianqian interjected with a light huff. "Tell me honestly, are you still a virgin?" The abundant vitality emanating from Qin Lang compelled her to question. Her resolve intensified. If her sister could not endure, perhaps there would be an opportunity to incapacitate Qin Lang. Upon closer inspection, whether in physique, appearance, or demeanor, Qin Lang undoubtedly ranked among the finest she had encountered. Even her junior disciple would, in comparison, seem somewhat lacking. Even she, upon encountering Qin Lang for the very first time, felt an undeniable affinity, compelling her to suppress the fluttering emotions within her. She sternly reminded herself that he belonged to her senior sister, and, as a junior, she must not intervene unless absolutely necessary. Chapter 256, The Collaborative Probe of Sisters Not So. Qin Lang declared with utmost seriousness, devoid of any hesitation. Ning Qianqian rolled her eyes. The more he denied, the more it solidified the truth. She couldn't fathom how he had spent the previous 20-odd years, seemingly squandering his remarkable background. Were it not for her title as the little medical immortal, having nearly perfected her understanding of diagnosis and treatment. She might have genuinely been deceived by this fellow, Qin Lang. Luo Qingyu smiled bitterly, saying, Qianqian, do not speak carelessly. The Qin family of Yinjing is a prestigious lineage, and its descendants naturally receive an exemplary education, incomparable to the so-called sons of the wealthy you encounter in the outside world. Indeed, too strict in their upbringing. Ning Qianqian retorted with a pout. She cast a casual glance at Qin Lang, her eyes betraying a hint of disdain. What an outrageous situation. Even Qin Lang found himself in an awkward position. He was well aware of Ning Qianqian's temperament and understood that his forthright response would elicit a particular reaction. Yet, he had never anticipated that he would one day be looked down upon by such a young lady. Clearing his throat, he tactfully shifted the topic, gazing with concern at the ailing Luo Qingyu. Miss Luo, may I inquire about your current condition? Is there anything you require? I assure you, I will not hesitate to assist in any way I can. Luo Qingyu chuckled softly. Mr. Qin, to be candid, my survival thus far is entirely due to Qianqian's interventions, which have kept this frail body from perishing. Otherwise, I would have long since returned to dust. Ning Qianqian proudly lifted her delicate chin and shot a glance at Qin Lang. Do not indulge in vain hopes. Is it not merely because you find my senior sister beautiful that you wish to make one last effort, not wanting to miss out on such an exquisite beauty? While your intentions are commendable, given the current circumstances, even with my utmost efforts, I can only keep my senior sister hanging by a thread. The path to recovery is akin to climbing to the heavens. You should abandon your fanciful thoughts. Even if I could restore her life, she would merely be a fragile porcelain doll, beautiful yet untouchable. I do not wish for my senior sister to be further distressed by your meddling. Qianqian. Luo Qingyu's voice rose slightly, her complexion growing increasingly pale. Even she found herself puzzled by her junior sister's unusual verbosity today. In the presence of outsiders, she was unexpectedly talkative. In the past, when her uncles had visited, Qianqian had scarcely acknowledged them, treating them as if they were mere air. Could it be that she had undergone a change of heart? Is there truly no other way? Qin Lang interjected at a timely moment, his expression grave and serious. Ning Qianqian scoffed. There may be a way, but if there were sacred healing elixirs available, perhaps the odds could be improved. What sacred elixirs? Qin Lang feigned ignorance and inquired. Ning Qianqian, counting on her slender, scallion-like fingers, mentioned rare treasures such as a millennium-old ginseng and the ancient Tianshan snow lotus. These medicinal herbs are exceedingly rare, and their worth is often unquantifiable. Otherwise, with Ning Qianqian's capabilities, how could she merely be counting on her fingers here? She would have already devised a means to procure them, rather than waiting until now. Most of what you mentioned is unfamiliar to me. The only one I have encountered is ginseng. That is relatively easy to acquire. If necessary, I could procure 100 to 200 pounds at any time. Turning to leave, Qin Lang was halted by Ning Qianqian, who quickly stood up and grasped his arm. Upon seeing him turn back, she released her grip and rolled her eyes dramatically. Where do you think you're going? To purchase ginseng from a market? She placed a hand on her forehead, a look of despair on her face, and bit her lip in frustration. Did you not hear me clearly? I mentioned millennium ginseng, not the artificially cultivated variety available in stores. Ginseng is not merely ginseng. Cultivated varieties have long since lost their spiritual essence, and their medicinal value is scarcely distinguishable from that of common health supplements. Moreover, even if there exists wild mountain ginseng, if it does not meet the age requirement, it will hardly be effective. The medicinal properties of these miraculous healing herbs undergo profound transformations with age. A 900-year-old wild mountain ginseng cannot be compared to millennium ginseng. They are worlds apart. If you were to purchase from the market, you would undoubtedly be deceived. Let me be clear, in terms of wild mountain ginseng, not only has millennium ginseng never appeared, but even 900-year varieties are non-existent. The density of the population has become too great. In certain areas, any wild mountain ginseng would have been excavated within a specific time frame, unless you could turn the entirety of Huaxia upside down. Dreaming of finding millennium ginseng in the short term is futile, not to mention Qin Lang, who, through existing channels, has already sought out these miraculous healing herbs. Given her status, she still holds considerable influence in certain circles, yet to this day, there's been no news. Is there truly no other way? Am I to watch helplessly as my fiancé's spirit departs? Qin Lang's voice grew heavier, exuding frustration as he clenched his fists, anger flickering in his eyes. Ning Qianqian scoffed lightly. Don't glare at me. If you wish to explore possibilities, The only real one is the Millennium Tianshan Snow Lotus. It grows in places where most people wouldn't dare to tread. Not only is there the risk of freezing to death, but an avalanche could render even the most skilled individual powerless. There may, however, be a chance to find a Millennium Tianshan Snow Lotus. Very well. You shall go. Qin Lang turned and this time truly left the small cabin. After a while, Luo Qingyu sighed, saying, Qian, why do you toy with him? The Millennium Tianshan Snow Lotus is even more precious than Millennium Ginseng, and it not only requires luck but also harbors infinite dangers. If he encounters any trouble, it is likely that you will suffer as well. Ning Qianqian stepped forward to adjust the bedding for Luo Qingyu, nonchalantly murmuring, I've already told him it's dangerous. Whether he goes or not is his own choice. What does it have to do with me? Besides, he seems so anxious. Who can tell if it's genuine or feigned? Perhaps he still harbors hope, believing that seeing your sister, you will recover and be with him happily. The thoughts in that fellow's mind are likely not of good intent. Once he truly realizes the difficulties, he will eventually retreat. In the end, he will be too ashamed to return here and disturb you, which would solve a troublesome matter. I hope so. Luo Qingyu sighed softly. The room gradually fell into tranquility. Chapter 257. The arrival of Bai Xiaoyan under the watchful eyes of Luo Xiaowen and the senior members of the Luo family. Qin Lang returned to the back seat of the Maybach, waved his hand politely, and said, just drop me off here, as he raised the car window. Young master, where shall we go next? After careful consideration, 2 locations stood out. The first was the Heavenly Paradise in Tianyu City, a large service-oriented club renowned for its lavish feasts, akin to the famed soy sauce variety. The second was a 5-star hotel adjacent to the sea, offering expansive ocean views. These venues were divulged by the wealthy to Junzi, who sifted through the information and discarded the irrelevant bits. Let us not go anywhere. Just head to a business hotel and publicly declare that I have left Tianyu City. Leaning back in his seat, Qin Lang stifled a yawn. It sufficed to release a few tidbits of information. It was hardly plausible for him to venture alone to the Tianshan Mountains to gather Millennium Mold Snow Lotus, something that was unattainable for others but within his grasp. Very well. Junzi drove the Maybach steadily, switching to a more ordinary vehicle midway, departing from the convoy to a relatively modest business hotel. Going to Tianshan, it must take at least 2 days round trip, right? Plus, the search for the Snow Lotus would surely take a week or so. Otherwise, it would seem too easy. He had intended to remain low-key during this period, preparing to lie low. Little did he know that the next day, an unexpected guest would arrive at the hotel. Brother. Upon opening the door, Qin Lang was greeted by a waft of fragrance, and in an instant, Bai Xiaoyan dove into his embrace like a fledgling swan. Clinging to his neck like a koala, she refused to let go, eagerly rubbing her cheek against him, her delicate nose inhaling deeply, greedily savoring the scent of Qin Lang. There was a hint of smoke, yet the ever-contradictory Bai Xiaoyan felt no revulsion, only a profound sense of contentment and happiness. Yin, what brings you here? Where is your sister? Qin Lang peered outside, failing to spot Bai Ruyu, only noticing that Bai Xiaoyan seemed heavier than before, occasionally swaying on him. There is nothing else. After a period of absence, this gluttonous little girl has gained some weight, and notably, it has accumulated in specific areas, particularly around her bosom. As a result, their embrace now creates a cushion of sorts. Brother, you don't like me anymore. You only think about sister. What is so special about her? She pouted. Her cheeks puffed out in indignation, nuzzling his chin in frustration. Sister again. Always talking about sister. Bai Xiaoyan felt a pang of sorrow in her heart. After such a long time without seeing her brother, she couldn't express how much she missed him. Upon overhearing her sister's phone conversation, she rushed over with urgency. Yet, the first words her brother uttered upon seeing her were inquiries about where her sister had gone. How heart-wrenching. Yin, isn't it a matter of importance regarding your sister? Who are we to each other? Do we still care about such trivialities? Your presence here brings me immense joy. Really? Bai Xiaoyan blinked her bright eyes. Brother, what is our relationship? Would you be willing to be my boyfriend? Rest assured, as long as you agree to be my boyfriend, I will fulfill any of your requests. She playfully winked, though her attempts were rather clumsy. Nevertheless, her mischievous demeanor was genuine, exuding a unique charm. Cough. Qin Lang cleared his throat, shutting the door and returning to the sofa with Bai Xiaoyan in tow, allowing her to sit comfortably. He gently admonished her. Yin, you are still young. Some matters can be discussed lightly. You must not take them to heart. Bai Xiaoyan sulked. Brother, you're deceiving me again. Always using these excuses to brush me off. You just don't like me, do you? Otherwise, why won't you agree to be my boyfriend? What makes me lesser than sister? Over this period, I have been eating well and drinking milk. I've grown faster than before. She straightened her back, eager to showcase her transformation. Hiss. Even Qin Lang couldn't help but take a sharp intake of breath at the sight. How astonishing. If Su Xiao were to hear these words, she would undoubtedly be furious. Those who are more talented than you are often even more diligent. The competition is fierce. This is utterly disheartening. His thoughts were not directed at this particular issue, but rather at the age aspect. Adhering to his principle of being neither proactive, nor rejecting, nor taking responsibility, he allowed Bai Xiaoyun to continue her antics without any intention of intervening. Is there a problem here? Not at all. It's not as though he is the one taking advantage. He is the one being taken advantage of. Why not simply let it be? Rest assured, in this regard, I am well aware and will not let you bear any blame, Bai Xiaoyun declared confidently, producing her identification card and presenting it to Qin Lang. Here, if you don't believe me, take a look. Glancing at the date of birth, Qin Lang furrowed his brow in disbelief. What is this? You're already 18. Indeed, one has grown up long ago. It is you, dear brother, who have persistently neglected to inquire about the precise age. Who is to blame? Bai Xiaoyun pouted, playfully pecking at Qin Lang's cheek as if tasting honey, her heart swelling with sweetness. How delightful! She had successfully stolen a kiss for the first time. It was evident that her brother's previous avoidance was merely due to the age difference. At last, her dream was realized. She would not divulge to her brother that this identification card was procured with her father's assistance in renewing her age. The intricacies of this matter were profound. Ever since her father's illegitimate son encountered misfortune, he had periodically visited their residence, bringing food and drink, displaying extraordinary attentiveness, fulfilling the duties that should have fallen to the caretakers and housekeepers. She had committed no wrongdoing. Her only aim was to fulfill her father's faint wish, allowing him to help her adjust her age in the process. A win-win situation. Her father was pleased, and so was she. Now, witnessing the fruits of her endeavor, her joy was uncontrollable. Deep down, she felt grateful to her father for his assistance and resolved to refrain from giving him the cold shoulder on her next visit. Who knows what further requests she might have in the future? Perhaps when she goes with her brother to obtain their marriage certificate, she might need him to bring the household registration book. Chapter 258, by Ruyu's Future Plans Gulyalu. Qin Lang gazed at Bai Xiaoyun before him, swallowing hard, unable to contain himself. If he failed to comprehend the intricacies of the situation, he might as well find a block of tofu to crash into. However, he was somewhat taken aback. Can you alter your own information? Bai Xiaoyun pouted, tempted to argue, but upon meeting Qin Lang's serious gaze, she could only mumble in dismay that it was her father who had assisted her. Upon hearing this, Qin Lang was enlightened. He had forgotten about Bai Xiaochun. This individual, while attempting to ambush Yi Feng, had suffered a backlash, leading to complications in his health, and the only illegitimate son, Bai Shui, had also met his end. Thus, only the two biological daughters remained. If he did not cherish them, whom would he care for? With Bai Xiaochun's antiquated mindset, fixated on lineage, it was inconceivable that he would adopt a son with no blood relation. As for Bai Shui's offspring, fate had conspired against him, leading to his demise. That old man is quite cunning. It would be wise not to get too close, lest one be led astray. Do you understand? Qin Lang gently tapped Bai Xiaoyun's head. She rubbed her forehead and replied, I know, he is a wicked man. Just because his illegitimate son is gone, he seeks to curry favor with me and my sister. I am not a fool. How could I be unaware? Some thoughts remained unspoken. While she was aware, she still intended to seize the advantages that came her way. After all, that vast estate was solely established by her father, with her mother's contributions as well. In short, she intended to reap benefits without laboring for them. Now, could you tell me where your sister has gone? Qin Lang returned to the main topic. Bai Xiaoyun, somewhat puzzled, murmured, I'm not sure either. It seems she wasn't feeling well and went to the restroom. It's been quite a while. I wonder if she has an upset stomach. Just as she finished speaking, a knock echoed from outside the door. Bai Xiaoyun leaped off Qin Lang's lap and hurried to open the door, revealing a graceful figure standing outside. None other than Bai Ruyu. Sister, you are truly remarkable. In just a moment of absence, my brother can't stop mentioning you, Bai Xiaoyun said with a hint of jealousy, her large, watery eyes fixated on her sister's chest for a moment before she glanced down at herself, comparing and finding no discernible difference. Bai Ruyu cleared her throat, playfully ruffling her sister's hair. You silly girl, stop rambling. I have come here for an important matter. I was delayed earlier, but I've arrived now. Sister, why have you changed into white stockings? Bai Xiaoyun asked, eyeing her sister's legs with curiosity. Why are you so chatty? Bai Ruyu, feeling a twinge of guilt, lightly tapped her sister's head, then closed the door and pulled her inside. With elegant strides, she led Bai Xiaoyan to a seat opposite Qin Lang. Her long legs clad in white stockings slightly askew as she smoothed her skirt with a refined grace. Under Qin Lang's scrutinizing gaze, she spoke up. I visited several projects over at the Luo family today. Regarding the livestock farm, I believe it is a viable investment. The current market prices for meat are quite low, nearing a critical point, and a rebound is imminent. Investing now would yield a good return when the livestock is sold, and in the long term, it is a sustainable industry. She earnestly analyzed the situation, explaining that the declining prices of meat products had triggered a series of reactions, causing many farmers to switch careers due to lack of profit. Entering the market at this juncture would certainly be lucrative. Qin Lang nodded slightly, glancing around but not finding what he sought. He turned to Bai Ruyu with a smile, asking, "Is today Tuesday?" "Yes, why?" Bai Ruyu replied, seemingly calm, yet a hint of unease lingered in her tone. No matter how skilled her acting was, she could not escape Qin Lang's discerning gaze. With her limited abilities, did she dare to challenge him? Nothing. Please continue discussing the Luo family's projects. Assist wherever you can, Qin Lang thought to himself. The future business queen had cultivated commendable qualities under the old Qin family's traditions, which was a significant encouragement for him. As for the Luo family's affairs, he had his own intentions for being here. On one hand, the Qin family prohibits anyone from exploiting their esteemed reputation for personal gain. His visit here is primarily to sever ties with those affluent individuals who seek to elevate themselves by association. On the other hand, he aims to provide Bai Ruyu with a more suitable platform. The position in Tianhai City is, quite frankly, a gross underutilization of her talents. A business prodigy like Bai Ruyu deserves a future secured by her remarkable achievements. Entrusting her with the family finances, while fearing potential losses, seems utterly unfounded. Luo Xiaoyan may consider himself fortunate, yet Qin Lang certainly does not perceive himself as at a disadvantage. Regarding wind power investments, such matters are beyond our purview. The return on investment is excessively prolonged and ill-suited for swift capital accumulation. Other projects have come to my attention, albeit superficially, and it is evident that the Luo family is merely engaging in a futile endeavor. Should they rely on the previously established affluent individuals, they might have had a chance. For these individuals have already achieved success, developed their own sales channels, and possess unique strategies. The notion that novices like us could carve out a share of the profits is laughable. Even if we possess the capability, attempting to seize a morsel from their grasp would inevitably provoke a backlash. In the realm of business, there are no eternal allies. Today, these individuals may seek to align with Qin Lang, yet tomorrow they could easily transform into adversaries. To attempt to wrestle profits from their mouths, or to appropriate the interests of many, is akin to carving flesh from their bodies. What folly! What does it matter if Qin Lang is involved? Can he truly rely on his family to suppress these affluent individuals? His reputation would not withstand such actions. However, there is a lucrative commercial contract for a chain supermarket that I find quite appealing. This area presents a worthy opportunity for substantial investment. In the future, our company as products, or those beauty products manufactured by Murin International, could be distributed through such a commercial supermarket. My vision is to create a grand marketplace integrating commercial and economic elements, whether it be hotels, shopping malls, or dining and fitness areas. Even the property values of surrounding neighborhoods would experience a boost. Chapter 259. He has arrived, bringing the Tian Shan Snow Lotus with him. Even Qin Lang found himself momentarily entranced by these words. Why not establish a cinema production line of our own? I have a keen interest in investing in the entertainment sector and in self-production and self-distribution. This could indeed work. Moviegoers are typically willing consumers, which would naturally drive foot traffic to the marketplace. The idea grows increasingly viable in Bai Ruyu's mind. She had previously hesitated to enter the entertainment industry due to its lackluster performance. Yet with Qin Lang's enthusiasm, she is now inclined to embrace it. On a professional level, this venture could attract clientele and enhance the local influx of visitors. On a personal level, any intersection of business dealings would undoubtedly increase her opportunities for interaction with Qin Lang in the future. Indeed, if one were to establish a comprehensive commercial and economic integrated marketplace, the required capital would likely amount to an astronomical sum, Qin Lang remarked. Bai Ruyu nodded in agreement. That is undoubtedly the case. However, rest assured, we do possess a degree of financial backing. My father has shifted his focus entirely onto my sister and me following the death of his illegitimate son. The Bai family's assets may not reach astronomical figures. Yet we can certainly allocate a modest sum of 1 or 2 billion in liquid capital. While this may not cover the entirety of the investment, it should suffice for the initial phases. As for subsequent funding, with the fixed assets acquired from the initial investment, coupled with your aunt's position as vice president at the bank, who could possibly worry about securing a loan? Goodness gracious! This makes sense, Qin Lang considered, realizing the validity of her words. After all, this business model had proven successful in his past life, even birthing a national tycoon. It was undoubtedly feasible. Upon hearing how Bai Ruyu had skillfully influenced her father's decisions, he could not help but give her a thumbs up. What a good daughter. So filial. With such a devoted daughter, how could Bai Xiaochun not be awakened from dreams by her devotion? However, when he learned that Bai Ruyu had even included his aunt in her calculations, a chill ran down his spine. Goodness. This information is supposed to be confidential within the Qin family. I believe the only time I mentioned my aunt's identity was when I asked my mother for 5 billion. How could she have taken note of it after just one mention? Just how long had she been scheming to secure a loan from the bank? Never mind. This is not an area I should meddle in. You may proceed as you wish. Qin Lang waved his hand in resignation, caught between his aunt and his partner. He could not favor one over the other. Thus, he decided to let the two women compete amongst themselves. After all, the profits Bai Ruyu earned were ultimately his, and family matters should remain uncomplicated. How boring. Bai Xiaoyun, listening from the side, felt utterly bewildered. She had no interest in this topic, her mind blank as if enveloped in darkness. Did you bring the workbook I asked you for? Bai Ruyu turned her gaze towards Bai Xiaoyun, her expression turning serious. She held certain expectations for her younger sister, hoping she could strive for self-improvement. I can't always be the one to look after you. Eventually, you will marry and move to another household. What about you? You can't always follow me around. You need to cultivate some independence. Feeling an acute sense of crisis from her sister's tone, Bai Xiaoyun quickly stood up. I just remembered. I think I left something in the car. I'll go get it. Without giving Bai Ruyu a chance to respond, she dashed out the door. In the room, only Bai Ruyu and Qin Lang remained, the atmosphere turning enchanting. Regarding future plans, I believe it is imperative for us to engage in a profound exchange. Let us retreat to the bedroom and close the door. This matter is a commercial secret, and it must not be overheard by outsiders. Qin Lang, with his hands clasped behind his back, strolled toward the bedroom, appearing burdened with thoughts. Bai Ruyu glanced at the closed door, aware that her sister would not return at this moment. Should she acquiesce to Qin Lang's request? Before she could contemplate the implications, she silently closed the bedroom door and successfully locked it. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have gained 1,000 villain points. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have gained 10,002 villain points. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have gained 10,003 villain points. For 7 consecutive days, Bai Ruyu ventured out to assess the Luo family's projects, diligently formulating plans based on the on-site conditions, engrossed in her business affairs, embodying the essence of a formidable businesswoman. Yet, despite the intensity of her work, her health showed no signs of decline. In fact, there was a subtle vigor emanating from her. Luo Xiao observed all of this with astonishment. Truly, she was a remarkable aide sought by young Master Qin. Members of illustrious families are indeed exceptional. The prowess of the bodyguards is unparalleled, and even the business assistants possess such remarkable capabilities. How enviable. Meanwhile, after 8 days of silence, Qin Lang finally reappeared. He bypassed any social obligations and directly visited the Luo residence, making his way to the courtyard where Luo Qingyu was. Miss Luo, I apologize for the intrusion. I have returned. Qin Lang stepped over the threshold, offering an awkward smile as he approached Luo Qingyu, who lay on the bed, his warm smile enveloping her like a gentle spring breeze. Goodness, have you been out at night like a thief for the past week? What have you been doing instead of sleeping at this late hour? Ning Qianqian placed the medicine bowl on the bedside table and turned to look at Qin Lang. Startled, she was taken aback by the drastic change in him. In just a few days, the vibrant energy he once exuded seemed to have been stolen away. Though Qin Lang was adept at concealing it, the pallor of his complexion hinted at a waning vitality. Ning Qianqian saw through it instantly. She pouted and complained. I understand that the 1,000-year-old Tianshan snow lotus is rare and elusive. We wouldn't blame you if you couldn't find it, would we? But why present yourself in such a disheveled state? Are you trying to impress someone? Did you personally venture to Tianshan to gather the snow lotus? Qin Lang shook his head, chuckling lightly, choosing not to respond. Instead, he silently retrieved a small brocade box and placed it on the table in front of the bed. Ning Qianqian extended her hand to open the box, and instantly, a blossom of pink-petaled Tianshan snow lotus revealed itself to the air, emanating a rich aroma of medicinal herbs. In that moment, the fresh fragrance completely enveloped the unpleasant scent of traditional Chinese medicine that pervaded the bedroom. Chapter 260. Luo Qingyu speculation. Could this truly be the millennium-old Tianshan snow lotus? Ning Qianqian's beautiful eyes widened in astonishment as she gazed at the snow lotus delicately placed within the brocade box, her breath quickening. She had never before encountered a genuine millennium snow lotus, only having heard of it in ancient texts. Now, witnessing it firsthand, its reputation was indeed well-deserved. The roots shimmered like translucent threads of jade, glistening with specks of luminescence. The gently blooming lotus appeared ethereal, exuding a pinkish halo. A potent aroma of medicinal herbs wafted forth, and with a mere whiff, one felt a wave of euphoria and tranquility wash over them. Ning Qianqian turned to Qinlang, incredulously exclaiming, "You have such a miraculous healing herb in your home? Did you truly procure it?" Such a precious remedy was beyond the reach of her own sect. How could Qinlang's mere bodyguards, with just over a week's time, hope to gather such a treasure from the Tianshan Mountains? What ist? Those bodyguards could pose impressively before others, but in her presence, they were simply outmatched. The idea that they could procure the Tianshan snow lotus was utterly ludicrous. The only plausible explanation was that this millennium-old Tianshan snow lotus was part of the Qin family's treasury, and that Qinlang had sought it out with great difficulty, finally managing to extract it from his family. Qinlang chuckled, offering no further explanation. At such a moment, to argue would only reveal his impatience. He had his own plans and urged, now that we have the Tianshan snow lotus, let Miss Luo take it and observe its efficacy. I wonder if it will be effective. I understand. Why the rush? Ning Qianqian rolled her eyes in exasperation, grumbling as she carefully extracted the millennium-old Tianshan snow lotus from the brocade box, scrutinizing it closely. Meanwhile, Luo Qingyu furrowed her brow, her mind entangled in a profound confusion. Was this truly the Tianshan snow lotus that Qinlang had retrieved from the Qin family? If the Qin family possessed such a miraculous healing herb, why had they sought out renowned physicians from all over the realm when the elder of the Qin family fell ill? Had they even approached her for assistance? Perhaps even her little junior sister was unaware that the elderly gentleman she had casually treated was none other than the esteemed Dinghai Shenzhen of the Qin family. The origins of the Tianshan snow lotus were undoubtedly shrouded in mystery. The Qin family could not possibly possess such a healing herb. For them, the elder was akin to a stabilizing force. In their quest to prolong his life, they would spare no effort. They would administer any precious healing remedy at the first opportunity to the elder of the Qin family. Not only had there been precedents, but even without such past events, the Qin family would never relinquish such a healing herb for her use. Yet, if she were truly to believe that relying on Qinlang and his bodyguards could lead her to procure such a miraculous herb in Tianshan, it would indeed seem somewhat absurd. Could it be that there exists something she remains oblivious to? Luo Qingyu's brow furrowed increasingly, filled with perplexity as she scrutinized Qinlang. Observing his pallid complexion, and a peculiar notion began to burgeon within her mind. Could it be that this young master of the Qin family is, in fact, a formidable martial artist? Is it possible that his personal quest in Tianshan for this healing herb has resulted in such a tenuous condition? Ah, senior sister, open your mouth. Ning Qianqian's feeding interrupted Luo Qingyu's reverie as she plucked a petal from the millennium-old Tianshan snow lotus and offered it near her senior sister's lips. Qinlang wore a look of lament. Is this truly how the Tianshan snow lotus is utilized? Ning Qianqian huffed. Are you a doctor, or am I? Please refrain from feigning knowledge when you do not understand. This millennium-old Tianshan snow lotus is inherently a healing herb, and the more precious the medicinal plant, the more it requires the simplest mode of consumption. Furthermore, the Tianshan snow lotus thrives in an intensely frigid environment, devoid of any impurities or bacteria. Any processing or addition of auxiliary herbs would inevitably lead to the loss of its fundamental efficacy. Very well, Qinlang conceded, momentarily silenced. He was certainly aware that the direct consumption of the Tianshan snow lotus was optimal, yet did his anxious inquiry warrant nothing more than rebuke? No. His perspective had been narrow. His eagerness for chastisement was merely a genuine manifestation of his concern. Qianqian, do you not know who procured this Tianshan snow lotus? If young Master Qin were unwilling to present it, Do you truly believe you would be in possession of such a healing herb at this moment? Luo Qingyu interjected, imparting a lesson to her junior disciple, exhibiting a protective demeanor towards Qin Lang. Simultaneously, she glanced up at Qin Lang, offering a gentle smile. Young Master Qin, should you be willing to present this miraculous herb, I assure you I shall not be overly coy. None wish to meet their demise so readily. If I am fortunate enough to survive this ordeal, I shall undoubtedly repay your kindness. Repay? You are already my fiancé. Is it not a matter of course that I save you? Qin Lang retorted, his brow knitted in inquiry. Luo Qingyu parted her lips slightly, but refrained from voicing a response. Enough, enough. Please step outside. I must attend to my senior sister's treatment. There may be some scenes ahead that you would not wish to witness. Do not linger here. Go about your business, Ning Qianqian gestured, ushering Qin Lang out. Once his footsteps faded into the courtyard, she turned to her senior sister, eyes wide with trepidation. Senior sister, you cannot possibly be swayed by a single Tianshan snow lotus. Can you? You seem far too easily placated. While this herb is indeed precious to us, the Qin family possesses vast resources. It is likely they have more than one. You were not of this disposition previously. Did you not claim to disregard the engagement? When Qin Lang questioned you moments ago, why did you not retort? One who partakes of another's offerings is naturally inclined to be more gracious, and one who accepts assistance is at a disadvantage. Luo Qingyu sighed softly, uncertain of her own thoughts. Speaking almost to herself, she pondered, the Tianshan snow lotus likely does not belong to the Qin family. Their storeroom must be most depleted of such miraculous healing herbs. If they possessed such treasures, they would never part with them. Are you suggesting that the Tianshan snow lotus was gathered by Qin Lang's bodyguards? Ning Qianqian scoffed, rolling her eyes. By your reasoning, I could take a stroll in Tianshan and easily collect 10 or 8 pounds of 1,000-year-old snow lotus myself. That's not what I mean, Luo Qingyu countered, shaking her head, almost incredulously. I suspect that Qin Lang personally harvested this Tianshan snow lotus. Perhaps we have both overlooked a significant detail, Qin Lang's physique. His yang energy was abundant, striking fear in others just over a week ago, yet now, in such a short time, it has suddenly diminished. It is quite possible that he stumbled upon a unique locale in Tianshan. In those frigid regions, the 1,000-year-old Tianshan snow lotus thrives. The more I contemplate this, the more convinced I become. If the snow lotus were easily found, why would it be so challenging to acquire? It is likely that the very place where it grows is not accessible to ordinary people. Only someone like Qin Lang, with fearsome yang energy, could withstand the elements. Even then, he suffered a backlash from the cold, his body exhibiting symptoms of significant energy depletion. A subtle path, grasping the nuance you speak as if you witnessed it firsthand. If I didn't know you've been my sister disciple for 20 years, I might suspect you have feelings for that Qin Lang fellow and are concocting excuses to defend him. Ning Qianqian retorted with an eye roll. Are you implying that Qin Lang's abilities surpass those of his bodyguards, even exceeding our own? That guy? She scoffed. I believe I could dispatch him with a mere finger. Do you believe that? Luo Qingyu replied coldly. Had I not been injured, I could easily sweat you aside with a single hand. Would you believe that? All right, sister. You traitor to your own kind. You haven't even married yet, and you're already defending that scoundrel Qin Lang. How wretched I am. Do you have any idea how difficult this is for me? Since your injury, I have remained by your side, sharing everything with you. Yet I am still compared unfavorably to that superficial Qin Lang. I never imagined you to be so enamored with appearances. Ning Qianqian lamented, cursing in frustration. I must find an opportunity to test that Qin Lang. If he truly did harvest the Tianshan snow lotus, he would surely not fear my ambush. Luo Qingyu warned sternly. Do not act recklessly. The Tianshan snow lotus is incredibly precious. He saved my life. Even if my suspicions prove true, it would be ungrateful to act in such a manner. Enough. You are so easily frightened. Nothing can be done. I'll just eat this flower. Ning Qianqian stuffed a petal of the snow lotus into her sister's mouth. The most precious herbs often require the simplest methods of consumption. As Luo Qingyu savored the Tianshan snow lotus, she found herself under the intense scrutiny of Ning Qianqian. Ultimately, unable to withstand the pressure, she divulged some of the information she possessed. Upon learning that the elderly man she had once treated, who resembled a flickering candle nearing its end, was none other than the illustrious Dinghai Shenzhen of the Qin family, even Ning Qianqian was taken aback. Sister, do you think the Qin family forged a marriage alliance with your Luo family out of concern for my existence? intending to bind you to subsequently ensnare me? Ning Qianqian blinked her eyes, tilting her head, her gaze fixed on the tranquil beauty of Luo Qingyu's autumn-like eyes, awaiting a response. After a moment's contemplation, Luo Qingyu nodded in agreement, recognizing the plausibility of such a notion. The status of the Qin family's patriarch was unparalleled, as long as he drew breath. The family's position in the Dragon Kingdom would remain as formidable as Mount Tai. What a blind and foolish family the Qins are. Ning Qianqian bit her lip, shaking her head in disappointment. If that were the case, why establish a marriage contract with your Luo family? They could have simply approached me directly. Sister, you initially dismissed Qin Lang, didn't you? If you were unwilling, why not let me take your place? I am rather mundane. I belong to the Aesthetics Association. A look of great confusion crossed Luo Qingyu's exquisitely beautiful face. Didn't you find Qin Lang displeasing? Isn't that a given? Would you feel pleased seeing a handsome man fawning over other women? He never directed his affections toward me, so why should I be cordial towards him? Eat your own food. Ning Qianqian forcefully stuffed a significantly smaller portion of the snow lotus root into her sister's mouth, simultaneously lifting one of her hands to grasp hers. Once they settled into their positions, she stood up to leave. She intended to take a stroll, seeking out a few oblivious souls to vent her frustrations. The day slipped away in an instant. Qin Lang returned to the Luo residence, bringing with him a collection of wild ginseng and various nourishing herbs, which Junzi dutifully carried in a box. Back again? Ning Qianqian observed Qin Lang and his bodyguard entering, her previously quelled irritation resurfacing. Clearly, the thrashing she had delivered to that group of ruffians yesterday had been insufficient. She would need to exact further punishment later. How has Miss Luo's condition been? I brought some medicinal herbs, including several hundred-year-old wild ginseng and other remedies. While they may not match the efficacy of the Tianshan snow lotus, they should still be of some benefit. No? Qin Lang gestured to Junzi, who promptly brought forth a large box. Upon opening it, an array of distinctly ginseng roots and rare herbs, typically unobtainable in the market, was revealed. It was as if they were cabbages, an assortment of medicinal ingredients that a common person might never afford in a lifetime. Yet here they were, delivered in boxes by Qin Lang. These are useless. My sister's injuries are far too severe. Even the precious Tianshan, snow lotus Kuden tea, restore her health, let alone these herbs. However, I appreciate your kindness on her behalf. These herbs should help sustain her for a considerable time. Ning Qianqian's enthusiasm bonnet. Last night, she discovered that after consuming the Tianshan snow lotus, although her senior sister's injuries showed signs of recovery, the progress was painfully slow. Given the current circumstances, it seemed highly unlikely that a complete healing would be achieved. How could this be? Was it not said that the Tianshan snow lotus possesses curative powers? Qin Lang furrowed his brow, pressing coldly for answers. Ning Qianqian felt guilty. It was indeed she who had made such claims. Yet she had never witnessed the Tianshan snow lotus herself, only having heard tales of its miraculous efficacy in ancient texts. Stammering, she murmured, I don't understand why this is happening. It seems as though the medicinal properties of the Tianshan snow lotus cannot manifest. Or perhaps the severity of my senior sister's injuries prevents her from fully absorbing its effects. In any case, the current situation was far from optimistic. To ensure her senior sister's recovery, it appeared that additional measures, or perhaps a specific medicinal catalyst, would be required. What kind of catalyst? Kinlang inquirit, feigning ignorance. The efficacy of the Tianshan snow lotus was undoubtedly sufficient, but only if it were an entire specimen. The one he had sent was clearly deficient. It was not that he lacked the intention to design a solution, but this was not merely an issue that could be resolved with a single Tianshan snow lotus. It seemed far too simplistic. To leave a profound impression on Luo Qingyu, he needed to exert effort, complicating matters that could otherwise be straightforward, allowing a single resolution to unfold over multiple stages. Only then could his sincerity be truly demonstrated. His senior sister's body was infused with the sinister aura left by her adversaries. Plainly speaking, this malevolent energy likely obstructed the efficacy of the Tianshan snow lotus. To dispel this dark energy, one could not rely on other medicinal herbs for repeated infusions. Rather, it necessitated the purest form of yang energy. This yang energy, while not particularly rare, was not common either, and could only be possessed by a man of pure yang constitution. Pure yang constitution? Goodness, I have heard of that. Isn't it said that if a girl has a cold constitution, merely having an encounter with a man of pure yang can suppress the onset of her condition? Junzi interrupted Ning Qianqian's explanation, his timing rather inopportune and almost overshadowing her discourse. Noticing Ning Qianqian's gaze fixed upon him, he scratched the back of his head and chuckled awkwardly. There was a girl from the Zhou family in Tianhai City with such a constitution, and a renowned physician named Chen Pingan mentioned this. He pondered whether he had perhaps misunderstood. Ning Qianqian cast a sidelong glance at Qin Lang, her meaning unmistakable, subtly reminding him to keep his bodyguard in check and refrain from interjecting at every opportunity. She then continued at a leisurely pace. Although there are some discrepancies with what you said, the general principle is the same. However, this pure yang constitution is exceedingly rare. Are you certain that this Chun Pingan is indeed of pure yang constitution? Junzi shook his head, expressing uncertainty. Furthermore, the individual named Chun Pingan had been missing for quite some time, hidden away in some obscure corner that no one could pinpoint. However, it is believed that our young master is also a pure yang body, though this fact has never been publicly disclosed. He chuckled, casting a sidelong glance at Luo Qingyu before shifting his gaze back to his young master. At this opportune moment, he revealed the truth about Qin Lang being a pure yang body. As for the notion of whether he embodies the pure yang dominion, he was unaware and indifferent, as it was not something the young master had entrusted him with. He simply followed the young master's instructions to the letter, refraining from uttering any unnecessary words. You possess a pure yang body. Ning Qianqian's eyes widened as she stared at Qin Lang, a sudden realization dawning upon her. She recalled their initial encounter, noting the robust vitality he exuded. No wonder he radiated such an abundance of yang energy. If he's indeed a pure yang body, it all made perfect sense. This is splendid. Now, we have even found a man with a pure yang body. Sister, you are truly fortunate. Miss Ning, as outsiders here, might it be inappropriate for us? Perhaps we should step outside to avoid any misunderstandings? Junzi suggested, casting a meaningful glance at Ning Qianqian. Ning Qianqian rolled her eyes. What I go outside for? Do you truly believe that adhering to your suggestion is the only way to save my sister? Such an action would be superfluous. A man with a pure yang body exudes abundant yang energy, which permeates his blood, containing a substantial amount of pure yang essence. If we could just obtain a bit of Qin Lang's blood, it would suffice to suppress the Yin malevolence within my sister. Of course, if the yang energy is insufficient, we could always procure more blood from him. Is this truly feasible? Qin Lang inquired with a furrowed brow, scrutinizing Ning Qianqian seriously. Ning Qianqian nodded, reassuringly patting her chest. Rest assured, I assure you, as long as your blood is abundant, it will undoubtedly suppress the Yin malevolence within my sister. Very well, then you may draw the blood, Qin Lang declared decisively, extending his hand with an air of fearless determination, as if prepared to have every drop of blood extracted for Luo Qingyu. At that moment, however, Junzi grew anxious, pulling Qin Lang's arm back. Young master, this is not acceptable. Such a method is absolutely unwise. If the family were to learn of your actions, it would incite considerable controversy. Your life is more precious than anyone else's. You are the sole heir of the Qin family. How could you possibly sacrifice your own well-being for the sake of another? Moreover, just a few days ago. Enough. Qin Lang interjected sternly, cutting off Junzi's protest. Internally, he marveled at Junzi's acting skills, which had clearly been honed under his guidance, to the point where he almost believed in his own selflessness. Were it not for the carefully prepared lines that Junzi had memorized, one might genuinely mistake him for a paragon of altruism. Although he recognized the truth of the matter, he maintained the fade of generosity. Miss Luo is my fiancée, and she is currently in a life-threatening situation. If there is a way in which I can assist, how could you expect me to stand idly by, turning a blind eye? Do you truly believe you still qualify to be Miss Luo's fiancé? Absolutely not. Junzi's face was a mask of stubbornness, resolutely adhering to his principles. While I dare not oppose your wishes in other matters, this is where I draw the line. If you persist in this folly, I shall have no choice but to report it to the family. You. Qin Lang pointed an accusatory finger at Junzi, glaring at him in vexation, and delivered a sharp slap to the back of his head. Junzi winced in pain, feeling a sense of injustice. How did a drama turn into a martial scene midway? Shaking off the daze, he gritted his teeth and insisted, Young master, even if you were to strike me dead here today, I would never allow you to harm your own body. Is it really necessary to make such a fuss over a mere blood draw? Besides, with me here, the worst that could happen is excessive blood loss, and a bit of herbal remedy will suffice. You won't perish from it. Ning Qianqian murmured softly, her confidence wavering as she was uncertain how much blood Qin Lang would need. At that moment, Luo Qingyu, who had been quietly listening, could no longer restrain herself and gently scolded, "Enough, Qianqian. I owe young Master Qin a profound debt of gratitude and cannot continue this selfishness, especially at the expense of his health." She raised her gaze, her eyes as clear as autumn waters, and looked at Qin Lang. A hint of confusion in her expression as she asked, "Young Master Qin, you deliberately interrupted the bodyguard earlier to prevent him from revealing certain matters. I wish to inquire. Were you a few days ago?" "I was nowhere. I simply stayed at home. Miss Luo, there is no need for you to worry. I am quite well. What is a little blood draw? It is not as if my life is at stake." Qin Lang patted his chest, straightening his aching back. "You need not bear such immense pressure. The millennium-old Tianshan Snow Lotus was a gift from me, not a debt of gratitude. This blood is also given willingly, with no expectation of repayment. I have even heard that you are somewhat dissatisfied with our engagement. Very well. Once you have recovered and wish to dissolve our engagement, I shall oblige. But for now, you are still my fiancée. The Qin family values its reputation, and I, Qin Lang, would never abandon my ailing fiancée. Do not hesitate. Consider it merely a matter of enhancing my reputation. Is that truly so?" Luo Qingyu pondered deeply, questioning whether Qin Lang genuinely thought this way, using a millennium-old Tianshan Snow Lotus and his own blood as a means to bolster his reputation. In this world, who possesses such extravagant resources? Who would recklessly incur losses knowing full well the consequences? Had she not glimpsed a trace of sorrow and pain in the depths of Qin Lang's eyes, she might have forced herself to accept this excuse. But now, that was utterly impossible. "Young Master Qin, I appreciate your kindness, truly, but even now, my junior sister is not incapable of healing me. She merely seeks a shortcut, and there is no need for further discussion on this matter. I, Luo Qingyu, would never harm another's body for the sake of my own life." She firmly refused, leaving no room for negotiation. However, as Qin Lang attempted to salvage the situation, Luo Qingyu interrupted him, stating there was no however. "Qin Xiao, let it be for today. I appreciate your kindness, but you should return now." With a sigh, Qin Lang left, glancing back multiple times. "Young master, perhaps this is for the best. Miss Luo is not in imminent danger. If you were to take the risk and draw blood to save her, while the family might not blame you, your aunts and cousins would certainly make things difficult for the Luo family." Junzi raised his voice just enough for both Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian to hear, without it seeming intentional. "Your incessant chatter is infuriating. Just wait until I deal with you." Qin Lang retaliated with a playful jab at Junzi as he made his way out of the small courtyard. Once their figures had vanished, Ning Qianqian turned to Luo Qingyu, complaining, "Sister, you truly feel for Qin Lang, don't you? Am I not your junior? Let him draw a little blood. It's not as if it would cost him his life. It might even save me a year or two. Things are not as simple as you think. Some matters cannot be resolved merely by desire. Setting aside my own internal struggles, the Qin family would never permit their direct heir to draw a substantial amount of blood to save me. It would incite their wrath." Luo Qingyu's expression turned grave. "If anything were to happen to Qin Lang, do you think our sisterhood could withstand the might of the Qin family?" Exhaling deeply, she shook her head. "Moreover, I have already incurred a significant debt of gratitude towards Qin Lang. I cannot accept any further favors, or I would spend my life unable to repay him. Then offer yourself in return." Ning Qianqian rolled her eyes. Luo Qingyu shot her a sharp glance, remaining silent. "Displeased, are you? If you are unhappy, let me take your place. I, Ning Qianqian, known as the Little Medical Immortal, Vice President of the Beauty Association. What storms have I not weathered?" Hours later, at a business hotel, Bai Xiaoyun, who had been sent out to explore the Tianyu City amusement park, finally returned, brimming with excitement, though a hint of disappointment lingered since her brother had not accompanied her. Upon her return, she immediately displayed the photographs she had taken, proudly laying them before Qin Lang. Brother, look at these photos. Which one do you think is the best?" Qin Lang paused his task of grinding the root of a millennium-old Tianshan Snow Lotus, unfazed by her exuberance, and patiently selected the one where Bai Xiaoyun appeared most adorable, clad in white stockings and a tightly fitted gown that showcased her youthful vitality. "This one is the best." "Really?" Bai Xiaoyun examined the photo closely, noting, "It doesn't look that great. It just makes my chest appear larger." "Here, this photo is for you," she exclaimed, offering it to him. "Why would you say for me? What does that even mean?" Qin Lang replied, puzzled. Bai Xiaoyun nestled against his neck, unabashedly leaning in, engaging in a playful collision as if to say, "I know what you've been up to." She observed the smudges left on her brother's phone screen, particularly clear in the middle and at the end, undoubtedly indicating he had been sneaking a look at some film. In the future, dear brother, refrain from watching those other girls. It's unhealthy. Just look at me and my photos. Little fool, you've misconstrued my intentions. Qin Lang affectionately ruffled by Xiaoyan's hair. I'm not as unworthy as you imagine. I wasn't watching any films. I was merely observing the lives of young girls in neighboring countries who struggle to afford clothing. Each grain of rice and every morsel of food should be cherished. The more we comprehend the hardships of other nations, the more we ought to be grateful for our own fortunate existence. Bai Xiaoyun acknowledged her infatuation, but was not foolish enough to be easily deceived. Had she not clearly heard her brother's words? She might have nearly been tricked into believing him. Where is sister? She inquired, scanning the room in vain for Bai Ruyu. Qin Lang sighed. She must be worn out. She likely dozed off. Oh, Bai Xiaoyan replied, dismissing the thought. She gently patted Qin Lang's cheek, suddenly exclaiming, Brother, your complexion looks even paler. Did you not sleep well last night? How about I keep you company tonight? It's nothing. I've just been a bit busy lately. I'll recover in due time. You should stay in your own room, Qin Lang said, patting her head and promptly rejecting her offer. On one hand, the age-related concerns were unfounded. On the other, he recognized Bai Xiaoyun's tendency to stir up trouble without considering the consequences, and he had no intention of enduring that torment again. Besides, he had nearly exhausted himself in those last few hours, his face resembling that of a wax figure, having eaten nothing deliberately to maintain this fade. He needed to project the image of someone who had lost too much blood. Wait here for a moment. After setting Bai Xiaoyan down, he rose and went to the living room, retrieving a cage from the corner. Inside was a small white rabbit, exceptionally adorable. The rabbit, pure as snow, with its ears perked up, hopped around playfully, evoking a sense of nostalgia in Qin Lang. Brother, what do you need the little bunny for? Bai Xiaoyan asked, propping herself on the table, cupping her cheeks, her bright eyes wide with curiosity. This little creature was her pet, brought specially from home, and they had formed a bond shortly after acquiring it. This rabbit is unwell and requires a bloodletting treatment. Qin Lang extracted the rabbit from a cage and, with a swift motion, cut one of its paws, causing blood to flow freely into the powdered essence of the ancient Tianshan snow lotus root. The reason Luo Qingyu had not healed was due to the incomplete nature of the Tianshan snow lotus she had received. Perhaps the pure yang energy could suppress the yin energy within Luo Qingyu. However, he could not possibly shed his own blood. How heart-wrenching that would be. Thus, the rabbit would suffice. Incorporating the powdered roots of the Tianshan snow lotus can indeed prove beneficial. Chapter 263, Bai Xiaoyan. How delightful. Ultimately, the objective remains to ensure that Luo Qingyu consumes it, merely to disinfect it. After all, there is no intention to send it for testing. Qin Lang observed the powdered Millennium Tianshan snow lotus, now mingled with the rabbit's blood, nodding in satisfaction. This substance requires further processing, such as sterilization and perhaps the addition of some auxiliary agents. One cannot simply leave it unattended, lest it turn into a blood stew. Brother, little Bai isn't moving. Bai Xiaoyan exclaimed anxiously, pointing at the little white rabbit that Qin Lang held. She was quite fond of this rabbit. Otherwise, she wouldn't have brought it along to meet her brother. Qin Lang brought the rabbit closer to inspect it, giving its ears a gentle slap. Indeed, it had become utterly still. Is it really so? Just a tiny amount of blood drawn? Qin Lang grimaced in surprise. He had only nicked a paw and hadn't severed any major arteries, and the blood loss was minimal. How could it have succumbed so easily? Brother, you've killed little Bai. She is very timid and cannot handle fright. The television says that little rabbits can die from shock. Bai Xiaoyan pouted, her eyes welling with tears as she turned away, presenting the back of her head to Qin Lang. Yin, I didn't mean to. How about I buy you another rabbit? Qin Lang tentatively suggested. Bai Xiaoyan, feeling more aggrieved, shook her head vehemently. I don't want another rabbit. I want little Bai. Only little Bai. With a huff, she stormed into the bedroom, and soon the sounds of dialogue between the Bai sisters filled the air. Shortly after, Bai Ruyu emerged, looking somewhat weary. In many respects, the experiences of boys and girls differ vastly. Girls, after a brief spell of fatigue, are rejuvenated with boundless energy, whereas boys, after a bout of vigor, become lethargic and devoid of motivation. What's the matter? Why did Yin rush in here, calling you a big bad guy? Did you bully her? Bai Ruyu inquired, casting a doubtful glance at Qin Lang before negating her own hypothesis. If he truly had bullied her, it was likely that the girl would be too pleased to care. At that moment, she felt a twinge of anxiety. Fortunately, having learned from a previous experience where she lost face in front of her sister, she had tidied the bedroom in advance. Otherwise, given her sister's tendency to retreat into her bed when feeling wronged, she could have attracted a multitude of troublesome situations. A simple task of drawing blood from the rabbit had inadvertently led to its demise, causing Yun Yun to be upset. Qin Lang, holding the limp rabbit, shrugged his shoulders in exasperation. Bai Ruyu, rubbing her forehead in annoyance, chided, "Why did you have to kill this particular rabbit of all things? Are you aware of how much Yun Yun has adored this little rabbit during this period? When at home, had I not intervened, she would likely have embraced the rabbit to sleep. It is precisely you. Had it been anyone else, Yun Yun would have surely lost her temper by now." With a sigh, Bai Ryu settled onto the sofa, alternating her wrists in a relaxed manner. "This matter requires your own resolution. I am unable to assist in explaining it. Moreover, please refrain from grasping my wrists so tightly. It has been quite painful, and I have yet to recover. It is a trivial matter, not of great concern. Just wait. Comforting children is my forte." Qin Lang dismissively waved his hand and carried the limp rabbit into the kitchen. Although they resided in an ordinary hotel, it possessed all necessary amenities, albeit with a slightly lesser reputation. Surely, Qin Lang could not remain confined to a modest double room for 8 or 9 consecutive days merely to evade attention. Soon, evening descended. Qin Lang personally took to the kitchen, utilizing temporary advanced culinary skills acquired from the system's marketplace to prepare an extravagant feast. As Bai Ruyu emerged from the bedroom, she was greeted by the delightful aroma of the meal. Upon reaching the dining table, she couldn't help but express her admiration with a thumbs up. Even though it was not her first encounter with his culinary prowess, she remained deeply impressed. She marveled at how he had acquired such remarkable skills. Not only did the presentation rival that of gourmet chefs, but the flavors surpassed those of most restaurants. She couldn't help but wonder how Qin Lang had dedicated so much time to learn such talents during his childhood. Enough praise. You have witnessed my more impressive abilities on multiple occasions. These skills are trivial. Call Yin Yin out for dinner, Qin Lang urged, returning from the kitchen with a large bowl of soup. Bai Ryu rolled her eyes playfully and turned towards the bedroom. Without much persuasion, she summoned Bai Xiaoyan. The sisters sat opposite Qin Lang. Had this been in the past, Bai Xiaoyan would have already nestled beside him. Yet now there seemed to be a hint of discord. She had been upset with Qin Lang earlier in the afternoon. It would be impossible to act as if nothing had transpired. In truth, Bai Xiaoyan felt a pang of regret within her heart. She realized she had erred by being angry with her brother. Little Bai had already passed. Yet her brother remained alive. Why had she chosen to sulk over a mere rabbit? Now, she felt embarrassed to sit beside him during dinner. She sought to initiate a conversation, but was momentarily at a loss for words. As she took a bite of meat, a spark of inspiration ignited in her mind. Holding a piece of meat, she exclaimed, "Brother, what kind of meat is this? It's so delicious." Qin Lang glanced up with a faint smile and replied, "Ah, that is from the little white rabbit we bled this afternoon." Indeed, after the blood was drained, the meat had become tender and the flavors were exceptionally rich. "Ah, this is Little Bai." With a startled motion, the piece of rabbit meat slipped from Bai Xiaoyan's grasp and fell onto the plate. Qin Lang chuckled and shook his head. "Do not feel embarrassed. The rabbit we dealt with this afternoon was not your Little White, but one I specifically acquired. Your Little White is still very much alive." He retrieved the cage from beneath the table, rose, and approached Bai Xiaoyan, placing the cage down. Within it lay a small white rabbit, identical to the one that had perished at noon. Truth be told, rabbits of such beauty and similar age are often indistinguishable, as if they were crafted from the same mold. He had especially instructed Junzi to select a rabbit that resembled Little White. His intention was to playfully deceive Bai Xiaoyan, and perhaps later to employ a touch of charm, as he worried she might harbor resentment over the incident. So that is how it is. Bai Xiaoyan had long desired to mend their relationship, and this was the perfect opportunity to descend gracefully from the situation. If all else failed, she would have crafted a way down herself, knowing she would eventually have to. Qin Lang gently patted her small head, urging, "Do not let this weigh on your mind. You must eat. No one should suffer, especially not your tummy." Bai Xiaoyan nodded, eagerly devouring the rabbit meat from her plate. She attempted to switch to another dish, but the other offerings, while exquisitely presented, lacked flavor, appearing insipid and watery. They seemed mere embellishments to the spicy rabbit dish, and every time she sampled the other dishes, her craving for the spicy rabbit intensified. As she continued, Bai Xiaoyan resolved not to waste her energy on anything else and focused on the plate of spicy rabbit meat. After consuming a generous portion, only a disheveled plate and some chili peppers remained. Content, she leaned back in her chair, patted her round little belly, and let out a satisfied burp, exclaiming, "Delicious." From time to time, she stole glances at the little white rabbit in the cage at her feet. The small creature, subjected to her gaze filled with malice, wore a face marked with confusion. Chapter 264. Ning Chanqian. When the enemy approaches, I shall stand before my senior sister first. Qin Lang's observational skills were remarkable. With a single glance, he discerned Bai Xiaoyun's thoughts. It was likely that by noon tomorrow, this new little white would mysteriously vanish, and a plate of spicy rabbit meat would appear at the dining table, to which she would likely have little reaction. How utterly realistic. Her infatuation combined with her love for food was undeniable. How about I prepare a spicy rabbit head for you tomorrow? Qin Lang proposed. But rabbit heads are not very palatable, are they? Bai Xiaoyun tilted her head, envisioning the scene in her mind, only to swiftly dismiss the thought. Never mind. The spicy rabbit meat is quite delicious. She glanced again at the cage at her feet, as if implying to Qin Lang. Isn't there an abundance of ingredients right here? That depends on who is cooking. My spicy rabbit head is unparalleled. The flavor is simply divine, surpassing what you've enjoyed tonight. After Qin Lang's enticing description, Bai Xiaoyun felt tempted. How about trying it tomorrow? Absolutely. Qin Lang readily agreed. Bai Xiaoyun finally seized the opportunity to kick the rabbit cage aside, obstructing her path. With a playful gesture, she maneuvered her long legs, clad in white stockings, and collided into Qin Lang's embrace once more. "Brother, you are the best," she exclaimed. "I shouldn't have been angry with you this afternoon. Will you forgive me?" Pouting, she planted several kisses on his cheek. While it appeared to be an apology to Qin Lang, it was, in reality, a reward for herself. "Silly girl, how could I possibly be angry with you?" He reassured her. "Remember, though the spicy rabbit head is delectable, it must be savored properly, otherwise the authentic flavor is lost." Qin Lang imparted his wisdom gently. Certain skills must be nurtured from a young age, and only through the passage of time can one achieve mastery. That night, in the courtyard of the Luo family, Ning Chanqian brought in a blanket and nestled beside Luo Qingyu, slipping into the familiar warmth effortlessly. Yet that was not enough. She lifted her senior sister's blanket and burrowed in, wrapping her arms around her. "Chanqian, what are you doing?" Luo Qingyu furrowed her brow. Closing the book she had been reading and turning to hastily urge, "Return to your own bedding." "Sister," Ning Chanqian whined playfully, "I've been by your side for so long. Can't you grant me this small request? When we were younger in the sect, you often held me until I fell asleep. Why are you so impatient now that we've grown up? Besides, you have a fiancé now. You might marry Qin Lang. Soon, I won't be able to hold you like this anymore. Shouldn't we cherish this time together? Your injuries aren't as severe as before. Holding you won't hinder anything." Luo Qingyu swatted Ning Chanqian's hand from her abdomen, her brow still knitted. "Stop talking nonsense. Who said I am marrying Qin Lang? I owe him a favor, and there are other ways to repay it. Once I recover, I can protect him for a lifetime if need be." "Oh, is that what you claim?" Ning Chanqian teased. "Then if I were to develop feelings for Qin Lang, would you become our bodyguard? Go to sleep." Luo Qingyu wished to avoid prolonging the conversation. She placed her book on the side table and extinguished the light. In the room, 2 even breaths filled the air. Soon, Ning Chanqian stirred, preparing to rise. She detected a faint scent of a sedative, potent enough to induce dizziness and faintness, a rare concoction that was nearly impossible to acquire. It was clear someone intended to incapacitate them for nefarious purposes. Ning Chanqian was about to erupt in anger, but Luo Qingyu gently shushed her, halting her movements. Despite her discontent, Ning Chanqian, as the junior sister, still listened to her senior. For who could resist the authority of an elder sister? Such ingrained habits were deeply rooted since childhood. Ning Chanqian retrieved 2 pills from her bosom, consuming one herself before administering the other to her senior sister. These pills possessed the extraordinary ability to ward off various toxins. Although their efficacy was fleeting, lasting merely half a day, they were entirely capable of counteracting the effects of the narcotic. Shortly thereafter, the lock was deftly picked, and a figure boldly entered the room. Without turning on the lights, they proceeded directly to the bedside, shrouded in the darkness of the room, where one could scarcely discern their silhouette. Naturally, even if visibility permitted, Qin Lang would have fumbled about, deliberately mumbling, "Miss Luo, I beg your pardon. I hope you will be magnanimous. Certain actions are necessitated by circumstance. And since you are unwilling, let us consider this merely a fleeting dream." He held a small vial filled to the brim, prying open the mouth of his target to pour its contents within. The room was filled with the bubbling sound of liquid, yet it was not swallowed. Qin Lang's expression tightened as he quickly apologized once more, Miss Luo, my sincerest apologies. He leaned down, pressing his lips against her delicate mouth, intending to transfer vitality and force the liquid down. In the pitch-black chamber, Ning Qianqian's eyelids fluttered wildly as she sensed the warmth of a face approaching, accompanied by soft lips. Instinctively, she grasped her senior sister's hand, urging her to remain still, determined to prevent any disturbance to her own endeavors. Chapter 265, Ning Qianqian. I am utterly losing my composure. Is this not a villain entering uninvited? Earlier, she had strategically moved her senior sister deeper inside, positioning herself outside to promptly respond and apprehend any nefarious intruder. After all, her sister was injured. She could not allow the miscreant to take advantage of the situation. However, upon hearing Qin Lang's voice, she halted, uncertain of his true intentions. When she fully grasped his genuine motive, her heart melted in disbelief. What kind of fool was this? Her senior sister had explicitly stated her refusal to accept blood drawn for treatment. Yet this man resorted to drugging them, prioritizing the rescue of her sister from peril. Truly, he was a foolish and ill-intentioned individual. Just look at him, now advancing with his lips. What further impropriety would ensue? She was curious to witness the depths of Qin Lang's shamelessness. Though she could have shouted to expose his schemes, she refrained, akin to a fisherman biding her time for the perfect catch, eagerly awaiting Qin Lang's next misstep. Ning Qianqian was resolute that all her actions were for her sister's sake, determined to unveil the true nature of Qin Lang. As these thoughts swirled, she even began to convince herself, holding her sister's restless wrist firmly to prevent any movement. Luo Qiyu, acutely aware of her sister's impersonation, understood all too well what was transpiring, even without witnessing it firsthand. She was unwilling to be unjustly misinterpreted in this chaotic scenario. Luo Qiyu emitted a delicate cough, startling Qin Lang, who was blowing air with his mouth. He muttered to himself, "Something's amiss. Why is there another person here?" In a flurry, he switched on the light, and as his gaze fell upon the two stunning women lying on the bed, his eyes widened in astonishment. Despite understanding the situation, he felt compelled to maintain his role, even if both Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian were currently with their eyes closed. This was not merely about the task at hand. It was a matter of personal integrity. Wait, did I mistake the person? Qin Lang exclaimed as he glanced at Ning Qianqian, whom he had fed several mouthfuls of his blood. He quickly stifled his voice, muttering to himself, "Fortunately, the drug's effect is potent. Otherwise, there would surely be trouble." After a moment of contemplation, he turned and walked toward the courtyard. Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian opened their eyes simultaneously, exchanging glances filled with suspicion. "Senior sister, where did he go? Why did he leave so suddenly? Didn't he even turn off the light?" Ning Qianqian inquired with curiosity. "Perhaps he had some matters to attend to," Luo Qingyu replied, rolling her eyes in annoyance as she scrutinized her junior sister's crimson lips, narrowing her eyes in silence. As footsteps resonated at the door, both Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian instinctively closed their eyes. Qin Lang approached the bedside with a clay bowl in hand, gently turning Ning Qianqian onto her side, positioning her mouth towards the bowl. He then began to pat her back, determined not to waste the precious essence he had painstakingly procured, uncertain if it would suffice. Smack! 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 He delivered several firm pats on Ning Qianqian's back, causing her mouth to twitch uncontrollably as she felt an overwhelming urge to retaliate against Qin Lang. For goodness sake, is there no humanity left? Just a moment ago, he was kissing her, and now that the light is on, he acts as if he doesn't recognize her. Just because she drank a bit of his blood, he now wants to make her vomit it out, regardless of whether she could even expel it. Could she possibly return it to her senior sister? Wasn't tea that disgustingly inappropriate? After realizing that his previous attempts had yielded no results, Qin Lang, undeterred, continued his efforts with increasing force, his hands growing heavier, causing Ning Qianqian's complexion to pale. She feared that before she could rid herself of what she had ingested, she might first expel a bowl of her own blood. A sound of discomfort escaped Ning Qianqian's mouth, a signal that she could no longer hold back. Just as she was about to open her eyes, Luo Qingyu, from beneath the covers, grasped her wrist and scratched it gently, a warning not to reveal anything. What a difference a moment makes. Only moments ago, Ning Qianqian had reveled in the benefits she had seized from her senior sister, but now she was filled with regret, mentally cursing the entire lineage of the Qin family. Damn it, it's a bottomless pit. Once consumed, it's gone. Qin Lang let out a complaint, placing Ning Qianqian face down on the bed. He leaned forward and gently lifted Luo Qingyu, while using his foot to nudge Ning Qianqian further onto the bed. After delicately setting Luo Qingyu down, he sat at the edge of the bed, softly parting her lips with his fingers, and gradually administered the specially formulated medicine he had brought. Gulp, gulp. A subtle movement rippled through Luo Qingyu's throat, her delicate skin resembling the luster of white jade. Having learned from Ning Qianqian's experience, Luo Qingyu was exceedingly cautious, deliberately swallowing the blood that Qin Lang offered her, taking care to avoid any sudden movements on his part. In this slow manner, it took over a minute for the entire concoction to be consumed. The medicinal properties of the millennium-old Tianshan Snow Lotus began to take effect almost immediately.